here just a minute. Set up. Hello, hello, hello. Got it. We are live streaming. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Intuitive Insights and Tarot. I sure hope this is streaming right now. I'm Scott, and joining me are my co-hosts, Dan and Veronica. And really, this is the star of the show, Jason Q. Jason,
Yes.
this is your show today, buddy.
Whoa, whoa.
I call this this segment esoteric research because that's what you do. So I want to thank you very much for being here, taking the time, and welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's yeah. We have a
Yep,
lot.
looks like we're live.
Got a lot we could talk about. A lot. Let's see.
Cool. I've got a couple of announcements to make
Oh
real
yeah, go
quick.
ahead.
Let me do that before. So first off, I've thanks to the Jason Q fans, I've got like I don't know 1,300 new subscribers. So I want to welcome all you guys aboard. Thank you for being here. Couple of just one rule is in the chat, everybody needs to show respect to my co-hosts, my guests, and myself. If you have any constructive criticism, that would be appreciated. But keep any negative comments to yourself, or you will be banned. Let's see. I want to thank my mods. I added some new mods. 77X Wild, you're always there and helpful in the chat. So you are now a mod. My Life in a Series of Naps. Love your name. You're a mod. WandaVision, if you're watching, you're a mod. And Stacy Marr, I've made you the managing mod. You got a promotion. Congratulations. I am available for private readings. I'm gonna. I've been doing a thing where I normally my fee is $70, but if you're a first time client, it's $50 for you, and that's been so successful. I'm just going to keep it at that. So your first reading with me is $50. That's for an hour and a half. I use Zoom and I record the reading and I send it to you so you can keep it forever. My booking hours are in the evening, starting from about 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is the first slot, and then I can do another one at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're on the East Coast, you want to get on the early slot. If you're on the West Coast, the later slot, and if you're in Europe or Australia, we'll work that out. We can do in the afternoon for me. Anything else I want to say about that? No. A lot of people complain that there are too many commercials when they watch this playback on YouTube. There's nothing I can do about that. However, I am recording the show and it will be on my Patreon channel. So if you would like to come onto the Patreon channel and pay $3 a month, you can watch all of the Jason Q or videos. Actually, any of my live streams, I'm going to put on there for commercial free for $3 a month. And I think that's all I have to say. Go back to the gallery and let Jason do his thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the channel for some reason. It's always something with me. Sorry. There's always stuff going on, so it's like ugh.
So why don't you
I got something.
Oh, go ahead. Go.
I want to bring up something from last week or 2 weeks ago. One thing, hey, we didn't get a strike, Jason, so that's good. I was really thought because we started talking about history and what happened during WW2, and with that group of people that we can't talk about openly. And I had one of my longtime viewers say, I heard what you and Jason said about that, and that was awful. And so I'm leaving and I'm never going to listen to you guys again. That's fine. I don't have a problem. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. All we're doing is we're giving you facts, facts that can be researched. And so, and when somebody uh, reacts like that when I give them facts, I double down. So I went looking for a video by a man named David Cole. He changed his name to David Stein at some point. Are you familiar with David Cole, Jason?
No, I'm not.
So David Cole is a man of the Jewish faith, and back in the '80s, he took a camcorder and he went to Auschwitz and he recorded the buildings there and like the doors on the chambers where they put the stuff in. And
Mhm.
he went to and he spoke with the director of the it's a theme park, really. Auschwitz has become a theme park. You know, you can buy gifts there and everything. So, anyways, he interviewed the guy. He asked him poignant questions, and here's the amazing thing. This was back in the '80s. Now, I used to like Phil Donahue. You guys remember Phil Donahue?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So he is a real, I guess now he's a liberal libtard, but back then he used to bring some really cutting edge things to the screen. And he had these deniers, of the cost that starts with a hollow. He had these deniers come on and talk about it. At that time, of course, in the '80s, I was completely indoctrinated, and I was like, "Oh, these guys, this is terrible what they're saying." Um, but there was something about it. It like got me thinking, and I went and I found David Cole's documentary. I can't remember the name of it, but if you type in DuckDuckGo, if you go to DuckDuckGo and you type in David Cole / Stein Auschwitz, you'll find a documentary that he made. And so, anyways, I just wanted to bring that up. And once again, Jason, if you've never heard of this, I'll send you a link. I'll find a link and send it to you because it's hard to find, and it's something you've got to see. It's mind blowing. Anyways, that's all I had to say about that.
So
Yeah, I'm
Jason,
looking for. Yes.
so so what can you give if you had 3 pointers to make someone question about World War II? Because my grandfather fought in World War II. How they treat Trump and talk about him, I could see how easy it is to change what people think about someone if you control all the media. And still, I can't get over that hump believing it 100% because I don't know what it is. Like my brain says this is obvious, but something's like just keeping me getting over the hump. So what's a few things that you found that someone can look up themselves quickly to see that this doesn't make any sense?
Well, for
One quickly, just be careful what we say. I know you know that, Jason. I just
Oh,
want to
yeah.
reiterate.
And believe me, I mean that's what I'm looking for. You were talking about the camps. Oh, we've got some good stuff on that, real good. And it's funny because it's called the Ball Report. And what they did is that they went to these camps back in the 40s and then again in the 90s, and they actually did drawings and everything like that of these camps. Now, the problem with this is that you hear all these people saying, "Oh, well, this grandparent, oh, my grandparents were there, this and that, and it's all horrible." It's like, look, number one, they were work camps. That's number one. They weren't like these slaughter camps or anything like that. When they're like, "Oh, they're leading in the showers," they had tunnels underneath them, and it wasn't even Hitler that did that. It was the Vatican and these corporations like Volkswagen and ThyssenKrupp, IG Farben. And what they did is that's how the EU was formed. And now with that being said, a couple things that you could look up. Well, number one, you could look up Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor was not done by the Japanese at all. Nope. It's all FDR, Churchill, because they all were Jews. Now, when you look at everything like history repeating itself, well, it's repeating itself in Ukraine right now. Because what Ukraine is Ukraine is actually Israel 2.0. And I know a lot of people get all bet. I mean, number one, I don't know why people automatically get butthurt when you mention Israel. Like anything bad about, like, that's the one people you can't say shit about, but it's like, well, wait a second. It's like, so we can sit here and make fun of anybody else. You can make fun of Polacks, you can make fun of Mexicans, you can make fun of anybody. But then yet, when anybody says anything about Jew, it's like, oh my God, that's it, done. It's like, no, whoa. You guys are the biggest problem. That's why Israel saved Alaska's. They're in this way deep. I say way deep. Now, what we'll do is, let's see, and share screen.
Wasn't there also one of our battleships or boats that got bombed by Israel at the very end?
USS Liberty.
Yeah, that one.
Oh, and you know what? In fact, I'm going to hit that right now because you're going to love who put that on. It was us again. It was Lyndon Johnson. Now, there is a document inscribed, the LBJ CIA assassination of JFK, right? I mean, it's lengthy. I mean, we highlight for a reason, so we know what the hell we're talking about. So now with the USS Liberty, what happened there was, let me get that page. I hate just shoot off the hip and everything like that, because that's the one thing that, you know, you think about it, and it happened on June 8th, 1967. And what it says, Lyndon Johnson orchestrated an Israeli attack on the USS Liberty. It was supposed to be a false flag operation. And 2 hours before they started bombing the USS Liberty, they had 6 loaded B-52s with hydrogen bombs sitting on a tarmac with the engines running at Beale Air Force Base, north of Sacramento. And they were just going to let them go and just fire away. It's called Operation Cyanide. Not good. So technically, I mean, they murdered 34 crew members and wounded 171 additional crew members. Well, when you think about it, if you're going to go out there and you're going to kill all these sailors, Marines, and everything like that, you don't give a damn about any of your people. And LBJ did not. I mean, JFK got blackmailed into putting LBJ as his vice president. And I think he knew all along that he had it out for him. That's why he was swapped out. That wasn't the real JFK that got shot on November 22nd at all. No. And this will actually like stir some shit up, because it's so bad that they had an Israeli ambassador to the U.S. visit the Naval Academy in early 2012. The Navy midshipmen were explicitly told that they could not bring up the topic of the USS Liberty in the Q&A session after the ambassador's speech. Now, why would they not be? I mean, if you have somebody like that, why wouldn't you be able to ask a question about it?
Yeah.
And why would you? And they bombed it for like 2 hours straight, 2 to 3 hours straight. They noticed that the American flag was on the ship. It wasn't a gunship. It was just monitoring the 6-day war that Israel and Egypt was having. But what they were doing is they were actually going to pin the bombing of the USS Liberty on Egypt. So they were going to roll all those bombers in and just nail Egypt. Because you know, Israel's done all false 9/11. You've got that building that came down in Miami, the one that McAfee said that his 31 terabytes of information was in that same building. All of a sudden, it just falls down, and people are like, "Oh, it's because the pool." It's like you guys failed to realize that there are people out there that actually put these up for a living, and I was actually one of them. And you're not gonna put the footings in a fucking pool. It's the dumbest thing you could ever say. And how it fell, it's like, wow. So now we have buildings free falling all of a sudden, right? Just like they said they free fell in on 9/11, everything like that. But then yet Tower 7 fell and nothing hit it. How's that work? I mean, we have all the when 9/11 comes up, we have all the patents that they used, especially on the nanothermite, of using two because we know what nanothermite is that it's powdered aluminum and powdered rust. So you can go anywhere with these two and the US Army actually put this the patent in. But once you put them together and hit with a spark, you could bring anything down. So what they did
I have
was
a quick
Yeah,
I
go
have a quick comment on that. So like a lot of people, 9/11 was my first real big time rabbit hole. And when I was doing my research, I was not convinced until I got nanothermite is what convinced me. So there's commercial grade thermite that's used in like demolition, but then there's military grade thermite. And with military grade thermite, it's nano size, not nano, but it's much smaller particles and it works much better. And so when they were sifting through the debris, there's a certain amount of thermite that did not get expended, right? So they were able to measure that and they came up with like tons, tons of not regular like thermite that you can, that demolitions use, but military grade thermite. That was the straw that broke the camel's back for me back in around 2006 on the 9/11. Anyways, I just wanted to point that out, what you're saying about the thermite. It wasn't just ordinary thermite. It was military grade thermite that can only be got by places like America, Israel, and these I was it Five Eyes countries.
Yep. and then now with that, because I had some friends go there, and because I was an ironworker and all that, and they went out there to help clean up. And I talked to one of them when I was out there, and he's like, "You're not gonna believe what we saw out there. It was like molten lava or molten iron flowing through the streets. It's like nanothermite. It feeds itself the oxygen to keep it going. Regular thermite don't, because once it comes down, that's it. They bring everybody in, get all the stuff out, and clean it up. But the nanothermite, that's some real nasty shit. I mean, Israel. I mean, I got so much stuff on Israel. It's not even funny. I mean, this pins them. I mean, they're dead to rights to me. I mean, when people sit here and say that, I mean, there's nobody that should be like left out of this. Like everybody's got to be on the table for this. Because then we can sift through and then we can see who's bad, who's good. Because honestly, we don't know who's bad or who's good, even on our side. We're starting to pick through it, but we know Trump's good. But everybody else is like, ugh. Because on Scribd, I mean, they have plenty of information on there. And how do we know that our government actually has been infiltrated? Real easy. This page right here, right? And it's the website is thezog.wordpress.com, right? It says who's buying gun control, everything like this. Now that's just gun control, right? Who controls America? Now you have banking, finance, mass media, government politics, social engineering, new world order. So when you look at these, I don't know, can you see the full screen or is it small?
No,
No, we can see
No,
it.
it's big.
Okay. So now when you we can pick anyone, right? You go to like who controls we start top, who controls the economy, right? So what they do is they put all the people down and they put what they are. Knows Ashkenazi Jew, Ashkenazi Jew, Ashkenazi Jew, Ashkenazi Jew, Jewish spouse, Ashkenazi Jew, Chinese, Ashkenazi Jew, Mazido, Ashkenazi Jew, Chinese, Ashkenazi Jew, Ashkenazi Jew. I mean, all the way down. You see this, right?
Jason,
Yeah.
I have viewers who don't know what an Ashkenazi Jew is. Can you explain what that is?
They're Nazis. Those are the Nazis. If you notice, the last four letters is Nazi. They're actually the Khazarians. When they have the Khazarian mafia, the Khazarians are the Ashkenazis. They're not. They have no ties to Israel whatsoever. They never were. They were from Khazaria, which is the new Khazaria is Ukraine. That's NK, New Khazaria. And now when you look at this and you think about it, like, because when you go through all these names, right, and every one of these, right, and everybody can, you just put in that website, you just go to, and it brings this up. You go to any of them, and what it'll do is it'll bring all the names up. It'll bring a website up. You can go to the website, you can check everything out on them. And then at the bottom of them, it says, like, summary of the 60 senior officials of the U.S. government, economic, financial, and monetary institutions, 39 are Jews or have Jewish spouses. This is a numerical representation of 65%. Now, if Jews are approximately 2% of the U.S. population, so the Jews are overrepresented among the senior officials of the U.S. government, economic, financial, monetary institutions by 32.5 times. That's 3,250%.
Yeah.
That's not a fluke. Because all of them are like this. And that's one of the low ones. I mean, when you got like controls big media, right? Ashkenazis, got a couple of white Europeans in there. Same thing. All Ashkenazis. Out of the 12 senior executives of the big 6 media corporations, 9 are Jews or have Jewish spouses. 3,750%.
What's this website address? And Veronica, could you do me a favor and type this website or copy and paste it into the chat?
Yeah, it's
I'd appreciate it if you could do that.
THEZOG.wordpress.com. And you want to save this site. You want to save it and you want to, I mean, it's all of these. I mean, you have who controls Ivy League. Think
I was just trying to explain to a Thai friend of mine who's never heard this exactly what you're talking about. Who runs America? The percentage of I don't even want to say the name that starts with J. I like Benjamin. No, what's his name?
I get
The
buttons.
small hats. Anyways, the guys who wear the small hats.
Oh yeah.
They make up 2%. Jason, what'd you say the numbers were? 2% of the U.S. population, and they represent what percentage in the U.S. government?
Well, like this, the big 6 media corporation.
6.
They actually, out of the 12 senior executives of the media, the big 6 media corporations, 9 of them are Jews or have Jewish spouses. So that's 9 out of 12.
Okay.
That's 3,750%.
But also Congress and Senate as well. Do you have those numbers?
Yep. Which ones?
In the government. So I remember
Yeah.
it was something like, I wanted to say it was something like 60% were Jewish.
You want white?
And held dual citizenship, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Israeli American dual citizenship.
Yes, a lot of them do. And there's a reason behind that too. Israel does not have an extradition treaty with the US. So when they brought out when Israel was formed in the 40s, they came up with this law of return. It's like, hey, if anybody's Jewish, they can all come back to Israel and yeah, everybody live hunky-dory, fucking butt raping each other, eating little kids. It's fucking great. It's like, what? No, that's no good. No. And it's the truth too, because it's like, what do they do for Passover? When people find out about Passover, when they put the blood X's over their doors, how much blood do you need to put an X over your door? A lot. That's the whole Ever Given. When that chick, I mean, you gotta love it. When she parallel parked it in the Suez Canal, there's a reason behind that. Because the Delta Force and the SEALs, they're behind them in the Persian Gulf, and they were going to come right behind them. And not the Persian Gulf, but was it the Red Sea or something like that, and came up right through Suez Canal. Because they're like, no, not today, not any day. Because it was packed full of Orthodox Christians. That's who these Jewish bastards that's who they sacrifice. They sacrifice Orthodox Christians. They drain their blood, and that's what they use. That's one of their holidays. It's like Purim, their holiday that they all, they all dress up. You know what they dress up as? They dressed up as twin towers with planes going into them, and they're all laughing about it. I mean, that's cute. I mean, I could take my oven in the front yard and fire it up and be like, hey, it's like, but it didn't happen. Because all the ovens, there were no people cooking in ovens over in any of these camps. It's all bullshit. It was just typhus. They had to burn their clothes and everything like that. And of course, they want to say Hitler's bad and all this. I mean, you could look up the Wannsee Conference. That's a big one. And I mean, we could go through a bunch of them. And it's not like I'm saying all of them, but all these, there's a reason why, let's face it, we had a damn near Chernobyl-esque, not even accident. They literally did that to where? East Palestine, Ohio. Why would they go to East Palestine, huh? Oh, yeah. Because Israel lost their land already to the Ottoman Empire because it was only a 99-year lease. Like, get the fuck out. That's the old Balfour Declaration. But now, because it wasn't even their land in the first place. It was all Palestine's land. Then you had Britain come up and say, oh, we're going to make it mandatory Palestine. We're going to put it under the British Commonwealth. Just like every other country was. Because what happened in the year 1013, when King John of England, he made the Pope at the time, the Vicar of Christ. So he made him God in the flesh. So he turned around and said, hey, well, King John, I'm going to go ahead and give you dominion of all the commonwealths on earth. He's like, oh shit, that's sweet. It's like, oh, you got the spirit realm and all that, just whatever, and you want to do, and we'll start collecting all these other lands. Because why did they stake their claim in India? It's like Britain's never fought a fight on their own. Notice whenever they get in a fight, they're like, hey, America, you got to come over here and do this, right? Yeah, wonder why. Because we were part of the Commonwealth. I mean, how even the Social Security is controlled by the Crown, controlled by Queen Elizabeth. Well, now she's dead, but it's all controlled by her. Everything's controlled. But yet people cry and bitch, oh, socialism. Socialism. It's like, we're a socialist country. Social Security, you have, I mean, it's a form of socialism. But that's what Hitler was trying to stop. Hitler was trying to stop democracy. Democracy is the key in all of this that makes everything go bad. Because socialism plus democracy is communism. And who created communism? They did. The Jews. Because we have everything documented.
Jason, going back to Israel, so we know from our Bible history, right, that Israel was the ancestral home of the Jews. Why did they leave in the first place?
Well, why'd they get kicked out of was it over 1,200 places? Yeah, kicked out of 1,200 countries, cities, and all that. And the last one,
back from the time of David, right? King David, they had a kingdom there. God gave them a kingdom there.
Well,
And,
I know this is going to ruffle feathers, guys. Who wrote the Bible? Who wrote it? In AD 325, the Council of Nicaea. They wrote the Bible. The Romans did. They took that from the Enuma Elish and all these other writings way back then. Because so now you got like, okay, they're like, oh, Adam and Eve were here. It's like, okay, so if there were only 2 people on Earth and now we're up to 7 billion, why aren't we walking around with club foot and cleft lips and all fucking retarded? If we're all based off incest, we were seated here. That's it. We were all here. We were all here about the same time, and that's it. I mean, this whole story. Why do you think they call the Bible the greatest story ever told? Because it's just that. It's a story. It's a feel-good story because it's like, oh, worshiping this. It's like, we're not supposed to worship anybody. Nobody. And that's the problem with this. I mean, a lot of people, they just, that's why they say in the drop strike, 99% of people, with the truth will put 99% of people in the hospital. And we said this back in 2018 early. We're like, they're going to go after their faith, after their religion. This whole thing's a sham. Because they're like, oh, well, yeah, Jesus is coming back. It's like, okay, sure. Right. So, because the J's only came about in the what was it? The 1500s and 1600s. Because I mean, they used to spell G's like IEOUS, not even a J. There was no J's. Wasn't even a letter in the alphabet. And then you have these people translating. It's like, you know, everything's lost in translation. And there is there's an Adam and Eve story on Scribed that what they did is that they bypassed the Greek, the Hebrew, and all of their translations. They went straight from the Nagas to English. And oh boy, is that they had to get scrubbed by the CIA. Wonder why. So, I mean, I know a lot of people.
All right, so,
that,
excuse me, and I know I'm going to piss off a lot of Jason Q.
oh, I
fans,
love
so
it.
I
I
only
mean,
want to be,
the truth is the truth. I mean,
but I want to give people a little bit of the history about, well, what we're told the history is. And like what Jason says, we can't be sure of this, but this is the official what they say. Okay, so God chose the Jewish people to be His people, and He gave them a kingdom. And but fast forward to 30 AD, around the time that Christ was born, and they had the Jewish people had left God's favor, so to speak, and that's why the temple was destroyed. Okay, the temple where they had their sacrifices were destroyed, and there was the diaspora. That's when the 12 tribes were sent to other parts of the world, and God gave that land to the other people who were living there, who were the Palestinians. They didn't call them that at the time. I think it was I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and check on that. But
and
my
the king,
point is, they were expelled. God expelled the Jews from Israel, and they were not allowed to come back until they repented. But they kind of forced their way back into Israel, and that's what the whole. By the way, that's what the whole World War II was about, really. Um, so anyways, I just wanted to make that clear that there, the Hasidic Jews and the real like devout Jews, they don't even want to go back to Israel. They know that they're not supposed to be there. God forced them out for a reason, and they're not supposed to be even living there. You know. Anyways, I just wanted to put that information out there. Let people do their own research. You can look into it yourselves, people.
Jason, to since we're already talking about the guys with the little hats, let's bring the Catholics into it. And I got a question.
oh yeah, yep.
So you talked about, you know, how Israel, you can't, if you commit a crime, if you're a citizen, you can go there and they can't, you know, extradite you. That's the same for the Vatican too, right? Because they're their own land. So when Nasara and Jassara happens, so you've done the research, so you can let us know. Isn't it supposed to go back to a certain time where there's different borders? So if Israel doesn't exist or the Vatican doesn't exist, that means there's nowhere to run, right? I mean, is that land gonna be given back, or what's gonna happen?
Well, the land wasn't theirs in the first place. It never was. It was the land of the Ottoman Empire. And that's why they're having all this bickering, all this stuff with Syria and Turkey. And if you notice, Israel, they're automatically wanting to start launching missiles towards Iran. They're wanting to get this Third World War off, just like Albert Pike wrote to Giuseppe Mazzini back on August 15th, 1871, in a letter outlining all three world wars. Because the Third World War was to be between political Zionism and Islam. That's why they framed the Muslims for 9/11. That's why they framed the Muslims for in '93 for the World Trade Center. They all knew it. I mean, Israel. I mean, they're the ones that David Ben-Gurion, the first prime minister of Israel, he's the one that was the first supporter of having JFK taken out. I mean, because of the nuclear weapons, well, the atomic weapons that they had. Because Israel being a nation state, they weren't a country. They're never a country. Because a country would have to abide by the Geneva Convention. That means they have to declare all of their weapons and everything. Being a nation state, they get away with everything. So now, America, gotta love this, how our government works. We have all these little secret pacts with Israel. like, remember when NAFTA came about, right? North American Free Trade Agreement, right? And they were bickering all this stuff in the in Congress, right? Couldn't get it right. There was one before that, and it was with Israel, and everybody let it just sail right through. It cut off all tariffs, everything like that. It left one free flowing. Just Israel got to take anything from us, and they never gave anything back. That's why when it comes down to Israel, and they talk about like these honeypots and how blackmail and everything, it's all done by Israel. Every single bit of this. When they talk about the FBI, which FBI? The FBI in America or the FBI headquarters in Israel? It's the only other place that there's an FBI headquarters that it would even be allowed. So now when we go to Epstein, Epstein has been an FBI informant for the past, 15 years. And he was running all these honeypots. He had everybody blackmailed. But he wasn't running the FBI out of America. He was running it out of Israel. Because who was his sidekick? Ghislaine Maxwell, who her father, Robert Maxwell, was the head of Mossad. He's the one that actually helped with the bombing of World Trade Center in '93. He's the one that got all the weapons for it, for them to put the bombs in the basement. I mean, this thing gets.
So Jason,
'cause you got-
who's the top? Who's the boss? Because you're talking about Israel and all they're doing, but I also always hear about England and the Queen and that stuff and the Bank of it. Like,
Yeah.
Who's the real boss?
Shit. I mean,
Because I hear so much about
tell you
Black
what,
Pope, Gray Pope.
ain't human. Ain't human. Tell you how much right now. They ain't human.
Well, who's the top
was it?
criminal group?
Pindar?
Yeah.
Who?
It's all Pindar.
For that.
Like the top lizard. I mean, people are gonna flip their lids, but it's like I've got
Wait, what was that you dropped? Newman?
Pindar.
Huh?
It's not human.
Are you saying not human?
Oh.
Pindar.
They're not.
Oh,
Like the-
not human. Yeah, exact. Thank you. That's yeah. So when I carry around a dollar bill with me, and when people ask me this, I show them the pyramid, and I say we're down here, okay, on the bottom, up here at the top of the bricks or the stones in the pyramid. That would be like the leader, the Bill Gateses, the Clintons, the Obamas. But you see the eye, and I point out the eye. I say those are the real leaders, and they're not human, and that's why I try to explain to people that way.
And
And
for
we
people,
don't know who they are, do we?
well, I mean, you have the Alpha Draconians, the Dracos. That's what the Queen was. And when
Okay, wait. You have to explain. You have to explain to people
Yeah.
what these things are.
Okay,
Alpha
so
Draconians.
okay, so the thing is that remember when we all started in kindergarten, right? Everything, and we said that you start out with your brain. You have your brain structure. You start out with your reptilian brain. Why would they call it reptilian brain, right? Because it controls like your function, your most of your function, your breathing, your heat, fight or flight, everything like that. And then you go limbic, then you go what is it? Cerebral cortex, then and then it goes, there's another one, and then it goes in reverse. Well, in our brain, we have a reptilian mind and a reptilian brain. Our reptilian mind is our subconscious. Our reptilian brain is our hypothalamus, medulla oblongata, whatever you want to call it. It's our, what controls our daily functions. I mean, even minute by minute functions, second by second. How can I even say this in a way? So by saying that humans are the only ones here on Earth, that is one of the most arrogant things anybody could think. Because we think that we're so technologically advanced when we can't build anything now that's already been built. Like when you look at DC, can anybody show me where anybody's built anything like the Capitol building, Supreme Court building, or how about why don't they finish Crazy Horse, the Crazy Horse Stone Monument out in South Dakota? I mean, you had 3 guys swinging from swings with dynamite and chainsaws and hammers, and look what they did with Mount Rushmore. I'm like, you're going to tell me that a couple guys did that? No. we have been so dumbed down and so indoctrinated, and just our DNA has been so depleted that we have all of these, I mean, we have all these special powers within us that we can actually do this. Like, we don't need oil companies. We don't need power companies. There's free energy everywhere. Everything's energy. We're energy, children energy, everything's energy. But yet we have to say, oh, you have to pay a power bill. It's like, it's dumb. They're using all the free energy, they're harvesting all the free energy and then just billing us for it. All they're doing. So now when we talk about like who's in on this, you have the Alpha Draconians, which they're like the top lizards, and they're from another completely different star system, like Alpha Draconis. And when you listen to these people talk about laws, they always talk about draconian laws. There it is. It's all draconian. And remember the movie They Live with Roddy Piper, when he put on the glasses and he sees right there. Everything's in these movies.
Yeah.
I mean, even the movie V and V the Final Battle back in the 80s. I don't know if you guys remember that. But they look like humans, but then they were reptilians and they were eating white mice and white rabbits.
Yeah.
That freaked me out as a kid. I had dreams about that woman eating the mouse.
Oh yeah, the mouse, and a jaw. It's like,
that was the one. Was it 80s? The first one.
What's that?
The V.
Yeah.
And then did you watch the most recent one? Because they talk about election tampering. They talk about these things. They talk about how, like wearing masks to cover their identity. Like everything that's happening now, and I think this was like, somebody check it. V, the most recent one. I think it was in like, I want to say 2017 or something like that. Anyways, I suggest go and watch V. You'll see what's happening now is all laid out for you in that show.
By the way, Jason, have you ever heard of these special glasses? I can't pronounce it right. Dye. I'm trying to think of. It's a special dye. They made them illegal, and I'll get that information to you. But this guy invented glasses. He used a special tint, and he realized that when you put the glasses on, you could see other things. And they made them illegal. They said, "Oh, it's too poisonous. You can't have these, and you can't find real ones anymore." And you literally can see things. Yeah,
they were They were a reddish tint. They used those in Vietnam, and they had these door gunners that were wearing them, and they were fucking freaking out, and they were shooting at. They're like, "What the hell are they shooting at?" Fucking demons, fucking flying next to the helicopters, and everything. But they can only see them with the glasses on. I mean, it was tripping everybody out. Now back to the V. You're gonna love this because of course we're gonna bring everything.
I never heard of that, Dan. I never heard of that, guys. That's why. Glasses, I never heard about that.
Because of course, V, the TV series 2011, that's a newer one, right? But then you look at this. It's like, what is it? It's a key. That's gonna be what, the belly of the whale. I mean, there's little like comments that they did during these whole like V 1983 is when it came out. Well, like, don't worry, Abraham. It's not like you're a family scientist. You're not involved, and this will unfold soon. That's what I thought back in 1938. What happened then? The whole fucking hoax. Because you could tell by the name, Bernstein. Oh, but what's different? You guys are wearing a visitor's friend's uniform. Is it? Remember, the uniforms they had was a red V on the back. So now they talk about, they have a bunch of quotes and everything like that. But here's the kicker, right? This. The leader wants them living. Some of them will be made into troops for battles with this enemy. And others, in addition to the water, there's another basic shortage on our planet. Food. I mean, right there. I mean, they've been telling us the whole time. I guess you always said it couldn't happen here. And one day we woke up and we're living in a fascist state. Welcome to America, right? I mean, people are like, oh, no, we're not fascists. Like, look at the House of Representatives. You have the fascists right on the wall. What do you think that symbol's for? It's a fascist state. I mean, like that. You gotta love this stuff.
You know,
Like,
some people say, Jason, that we should not watch these types of programs because what's it called,
predictive programming.
programming, and also you're somehow you're what's it called again?
Predictive programming. Like you're making it manifest.
Predictive
Yeah.
predictive programming. Also, by watching it, it means you're giving your consent. However, if you watch it being aware of what they're doing, you can say, "A, I don't consent," and it's like getting a peek at their playbook.
Yeah.
You know, this is
Oh, yeah.
they're giving you their playbook. You have the
Uh-huh.
opportunity through television and movies. I've heard Janine say this, and I was saying this a long time ago. I do research when I'm watching these programs. I'm doing research, and I suggest other people do that as well. Just make it a conscious thing that you say, I recognize this is their plan, and I don't consent to it, and I'm doing this because I want to know what they're planning.
Exactly. And also, I mean, we went through, went through the whole movie, the whole plot and everything like that. Remember, like the visitor center, it was in LA, right? And they talk about the small craft. He finds a small gold object looks like a keep. And I mean, this movie, it is technically like real life. And I'll skip because the whole conspiracy plot, I mean, because we could spend hours on this and we got much other things to talk about, but other things we did, right? So, plot keywords, right? 40 plot keywords in V in 1983. So, just decided to start checking the ones off that we've been talking about, right? And this was a couple years ago we did this. Reptilian, human versus alien, 1980s, alien disguised as human, alien technology, spacecraft. And then you got these. I mean, Close Encounter of the Third Kind, concentration camp, Los Angeles, cancer cure, war correspondent, conspiracy, United Nations, Nazi, extraterrestrial, genocide. I mean, really? It's like, okay, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. This is back in 83. And also 1983 added up, it's a 21777. So you gotta love that. Mothership, television reporter, fascism, water, watch the water. I mean, it's all here. How about this one, right? Crazy credits. 2 credits, right? To the heroism of the resistance fighters, past, present, and future. This work is respectively dedicated. Come on, man. I mean, don't think that we're this stupid. And also, V, the final battle. So the other one scored a 7.7 out of 10. This one also scores a 7.7 out of 10. And 6203, that's an 11.
What more do you need? I mean, they're telling you basically go watch this show. So everybody out there, if you haven't watch this, both the old one, the 80s one, and the other one.
Oh yeah, I mean the old one. I mean, yeah, it doesn't have like the CGI or anything, but I mean it's pretty. Yeah. Listen, how about this? The small group of visitors who have formed a secretive 5th column among the fleet. Where have we heard that from? Right? 5th column.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you tell me, right? I mean, it's all right here. I mean, there's so many different things here, and a big hospital event. I mean, and listen, while they prepare their mission, Robert Maxwell's daughter, Robin. Robert Maxwell. Oh, Robert Maxwell. We'll say. They even added his name into this. Oh, unless, how about this? Robert Maxwell and a new member, Father Andrew. Why don't just change it to Prince Andrew? Wouldn't that make a lot more sense? You tell me. I mean, we're just the dummies that look this stuff up and just, it's all right here, right in front of our faces. Like they have a conversion process. Extreme sensory overload and hypnosis to convince Julie that her greatest fears surround her and that Diana is the only being she could trust. I mean, yeah, no. they're destroying a large water intake plant. I mean, a new resistance headquarters is set up at an abandoned movie ranch. What else is held at another abandoned movie ranch? Wouldn't that be Tyler Perry's White House? I think so, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it all right, like they even call him the fifth columnist. I mean, all this stuff, you could read all this stuff and just see the parallels, and you're just like, this is just insane enough to make sense.
Jason, did you do all this research on this V, or is somebody else's work?
I
That you
did.
found.
Yeah, just
Have you ever done one for Doctor Who?
Doctor Who?
Yeah.
I've never watched Doctor Who.
Okay. If at some point you have some time, I suggest go
Sure.
back and watch Doctor Who. Go all the way back to the 60s when it began. And so Doctor Who's another one. They talked about reptilians underground. Anyways, I highly recommend Doctor Who. It's very campy. The like the special effects and everything, but the writing, at least the old ones, were really good. And then the 2000 ones were good. But then it got woke, and they made the new Doctor Who a woman, and it's been trash ever since. Sorry, ladies, but
Sorry.
the woman Doctor Who is awful. I know there's a lot of people going to agree with me in the chat right now.
Yeah, just like when they remade Ghostbusters, they made a bunch of women. Like, don't touch that shit. Don't redo it. It's all these, they want to, I have no problem with empowering people, but then they're empowering women for a reason. Because when you're empowered, you're like, yeah, it's me, and then you keep your eye off the kids. Guess what? They swoop right in, pick up the kids. They don't care.
That's a good point.
And just like, how about this quote, huh? John and Diana. We've never had a John and Diana in this whole thing, have we? Yeah, a bunch of them. A crown. It's yours now, Diana. Enjoy your reign. Walk away, queen of a poisoned realm. When you think about John, like JFK Jr., JFK, Diana, Princess Diana. You don't say. The names are in here. Even the girl, what was it? She's born like this. Robin's human child, who she named Elizabeth, is growing at a rapid rate. She's the size of a toddler after only a few weeks and molts her skin like a reptile. Elizabeth. I mean, a trait that soon become apparent in Elizabeth is a predatory nature. Incapacitates Robin's younger sister.
Who was the punk band in the 70s? Sex Pistols.
Oh, Johnny
They
Rotten.
said the Queen was a reptilian.
Hell yeah.
Huh?
Yep.
That was in the 70s.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Or maybe it was the 80s. I might be wrong. But am I right, Jason? The Sex Pistols?
Yep. Elizabeth Maxwell. I mean, it's not just, and it's like peace. It is not our destiny. No. Peace is never their destiny. I mean, it's just, it's utter madness. I mean, and that's it. Just there's so much of this that it's all around us. You just have to open your eyes. But yet, let's face it, nobody wants to go after the little hats because the funny thing is, you got the Vatican, they wear them, and the other ones they wear them. It's like, well, how about the black cube that a lot of them wear? They cover up their pineal gland. No, I'm doing it. And then you got
right. Yeah.
the breasts when they're chewing off the circumcision off of little boys. I mean, and I think parents actually, because in the whole Jewish religion, Judaism, because Judaism is like it's the worst religion ever. I mean, it's pure Satanism, because that's what it was created as. Because it's all Babylonian. That's why people are like, oh, Israel's it's the Holy Land. Well, might be the Holy Land, but for which master are you serving? Satan, yeah, that's cool, cute, nice job. Nothing good ever came out of that part of the world. You had the Canaanites. I mean, it was just all these stories that they tell us. It's like, well, who wrote them? You know, they're like, oh yeah, God gives Bible. It's like, oh, so God just gave this Bible in English and said, hey, here you go. Come on, man.
Hey,
mean,
Jason.
yeah.
You mentioned the black cubes. What are those spheres with the machine, and they're like split open and they have machines? They remind me of the black cube, but they're spheres. They look like a planet with gears inside. They have them around too. You know anything about those?
Cosmospheres.
I don't
'Cause
know.
They have these. They have It's called Fire in the Sky: The Battle of the Harvest Moon, and like it's massive. It is I mean, it's like a couple hundred pages of a packet. I mean, they put so much stuff in there because they have these cosmospheres, these balloons, right? But they have these massive cosmospheres that they actually have up in the air, that they have direct energy weapons on, and I mean, it's massive. But yet, you know, they sit here with the balloons and they're like, oh yeah, oh, balloons, they shot them down, everything like that. It's like on a ball that's been 1,040 miles an hour, right? I mean, we just please just stop this shit right now and just say, you guys lied about everything and we want the truth right now. Because if you're not going to give it to us, we're going to find it. And when we find it, all of your asses are grass. And that's what they're doing. They're taking every one of these pricks out. Because they had a chance to level with us and they didn't. But yet, you know, we talk about, oh, terrorism. And it's like, oh, we have to go here. We have to take out these terrorists. Like, we're the terrorists. Like, who do you think funds the Taliban? The Taliban. The biggest funder of the Taliban is the British Crown. So now when you think about all that shit in Afghanistan with them ambushing Marines, Army, and all that, and killing us, well, why? You know, and they were out there burning the poppy fields because they don't like all the drugs. But yet, you have all these assholes that are for the CIA and everything like that working these drug trades. It's like, oh no, you ain't doing that. So, and then here we are with Ukraine. It's like, so President's Day, you have this idiot in chief going, and he's not even in chief. It's like this idiot going over there. And then they tell you, oh, he flew to Poland and they took a train to Ukraine. It's like, you do understand that the president can't take a train to another fucking country. They just can't. There's the whole reason why when Trump was in Paris, they wanted him to go to that, you know, the whole D-Day, the cemetery and everything like that. They're like, he can't go. Like, oh, because he's scared of race. Like, asshole, he can't take a 3-hour drive because he has to be within like 15 or 30 minutes of Marine One or Air Force One. So he could be extracted at a moment's notice. But yet you're going to
it's interesting that Biden was riding a train, which, like you pointed out, never should happen. And then all the focus on train derailments in the United States, these things, there must be some kind of connection they're trying to put into people's minds.
Oh yeah, because you know you got Pete Buttigieg. Yep, they're fucking just. I mean, this guy's such an idiot. Like, oh, they have 1,000 train derailments a year. It's like, so you're telling me there's 3 train derailments a day, right? Maybe in a trail yard or something like that, but not with all these chemicals and poisons that you guys have, like in these farm fields and in these towns, that you're just letting this happen. And let's face it. So we're giving all this money to Ukraine for what? So that they don't out us. So they don't out the Democrats or anything. Because once Ukraine's tapped open, shit's gonna hit the fan real quick. With crypto, with everything. Because this whole Sam Bankman-Fried, that XRP, not XRP, but that FTX, they were taking all the money from that, funneling it through Ukraine, and then back to the Democratic Party. All they were doing. Because when they talk about
Allegedly.
Well,
for those that are listening, you know, that's alleged.
And
we have the documents for it. That's the thing. We have the documents for it. Doug, I mean, there's shit that we have that people are like, what the hell how'd you get that?
I'm just trying to cover my ass with the YouTube section.
It's not just the Democratic Party that was getting bribe money from Ukraine. There are a lot of Republicans that are.
No. There was only no. there was only was it? They showed the chart and it was like, I know it was Mitch McConnell was one of them.
Yeah.
But there were like
well,
two
he's a right.
and it was all Democrats, because what they did is that nobody looked into Sam Bankman-Fried's, his mom and his dad, because they're guilty as hell too, because they both worked at Stanford. Barbara Fried worked at Stanford, and she was the head of this Mind the Gap program, MTG, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, how they they like their acronyms too. Well, what they were doing is that she needed $140 million so that they could secure this mail-in voting in California. So literally, they bought the election for the Democrats. Remember, it's supposed to be a red tsunami, right? Well, then everybody's like, "Oh, I thought it was supposed to be a red tsunami." It's like, dummies. They just showed you that they cheated the whole thing. I mean, look at the shit that's coming out of Arizona now with Katie Hobbs. How the cartel, she was working with the cartel, funneling money through the cartel through these land deals. Oh, so now we're making deals with the cartel? Why not? Arizona, border, they're bringing the people right in. They think drugs the big thing. No, human trafficking and child trafficking. That's the money. Because also, oh man, there's gonna get great because of course we just like to keep everything on here.
Why do you think all the focus on Ohio right now?
Well, it's a 17th state.
What is it
number one.
about Ohio? What?
17. It's 17. It was the 17th state of the union, and also, or East Palestine, right? I mean, who's Israel's biggest foe right now? Palestine. Then
Last year Netflix put out a show called Devil in Ohio, and it has child, taking out rituals. It has underground, like, that was last year. So it's just funny that they put that out last year, Devil in Ohio, and now this year all this focus on Ohio. There was something else. Oh, what's the Ohio State motto? It's all here, I think, something like that.
well, then you have Lex Wexner, his dumbass. I mean, at Ohio State, they're really big in that. Leslie Wexner, the guy that came up with the Victoria's Secret. The secret is that they have dicks. Just let you guys know.
All those guys.
Yeah, all those dudes.
That's ruined entertainment for me, because once you realize it, you can't turn it off. Like, you just can't not see it anymore.
And the sure thing to do is when they have a bikini on, look for the Adonis belt. Women do not have it. Men have it because women get pregnant. They have an Adonis belt. That means that they have something else, and I don't think you want that something else.
Oh, hey, I got a question for you. All right, so Q says we're going to be like, everyone's going to be shocked on who's good and who's bad. Of the politicians right now, who would be your biggest surprise? Like, you really hate, and it's like, who would be the biggest surprise that you find out they're a good guy or good woman?
Pelosi.
I'll post everything hung. See, shit. I mean,
Pelosi, for sure.
I hope Rand Paul is good.
Oh yeah, and you look at how they're all bitching about how the voting, right? How they're voting for Kevin McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they had it in the drops years before that it was going to go to 15 rounds on that day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They even had a countdown on how many people are going to join into the vote as a Freedom Caucus. It's freedom. It's like, it's right there. It's like, but everything. Oh, this fucking Q's stupid. I can't believe you believe it. It's like, yeah. I'd really hate to go back and reread some of this shit and see how it actually it coincides with it. But who are we? Because everybody else is just over there watching fucking Super Bowl and all this other shit, and it's like, you guys don't even get what the hell is even going on. But hey, that's on them. I mean, all we could do is we could just do what we could do, and I'm looking for these maps right now. I have a pack of maps that show all their trafficking routes through Arizona.
So what about McCarthy? You think he's good? Because he looks like he's been switched out.
Well, I mean, now that now they made it just all you need is one vote to get fucking thrown off. Oh, he's towing the Trump line right now.
Oh, yeah, he's controlled, I'm sure. Yeah,
Oh, just like
I'm sure
good
they,
old what's the DeSantis.
oh, yeah.
DeSantis was a day too.
So was DeSantis Adam Walsh? The little kid, Adam Walsh? Have you seen the
Yeah,
pictures?
the one who
No,
Nothing?
John Walsh had him as a sacrifice to get in the Masonic. That was his 33rd degree.
Right, right. But if you look
Sacrifice.
at side by sides, they kind of look like,
Yeah, I mean, I look like a lot of people too. It's like doppelgangers.
it always struck me how what's the father's name? Walsh.
John Walsh.
His Adam Walsh too, right? It always
John.
struck me
um,
how he went from being this grieving father. And I was in Florida. I remember that when they found the body and all that. And then all of a sudden he became this TV star, and he was so good at it. You know, it wasn't like some ordinary guy suddenly becomes a television presenter and be so professional. And looking back at that now and what you just said makes sense.
Yep. And then where's he living? The Finger Lakes. Ta-da. That's why they all drink wine up there, because it's all adrenochrome. That's all it is. They have all these wineries. And actually, because of course Hunter has the tattoo on his back, because we got our book-in. Report on Biden
No
laptop.
shit.
Oh yeah, this is. If
How many
they ever say
Jason, how many laptops were there? I've heard there were like
So 3.
4 or 3, or we always talk about 1, but I heard there were more than 1.
well, they have the one laptop that was dropped off at the place, but I mean, every laptop was already hacked. That's the best part about
Right.
this. They think that
Right.
they're like, oh yeah, it's like, who do you think gave them all these laptops?
Yeah.
Fucking John McAfee did.
Oh, hey,
exactly.
hey, Jason, I got
McAfee gave 'em-
Yeah.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
screwed all these guys are all screwed. He got everything.
All right. So you obviously researched McAfee. I heard he had a dead man switch, and I heard it's not supposed to go off till something like the cryptos crash or something crashes, right?
Oh, you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that, because shit, if I can find it. I did a decode of his crypto and the numbers and everything like that. It's like, wait a second, there's something here. He had it all coded in there. I gotta find it. I mean, I have it, and I know it's in here because I brought it in here. Oh, it's like, let me see right here.
Oh, Mia. She looks pissed off, Scott.
That's her default setting.
Oh, that's some good old rusted bitch face right there. I love it.
Her father was a wildcat, Jason,
That's awesome.
like
I mean,
a real live jungle cat.
oh, really? Does that one have a tail? Because I had one without a tail, a cat.
Yeah, yeah. This is a Thai. If there's a cat, there's a wild cat in Thailand. It's called a jungle cat, and it looks like a regular cat, but it's wild. So she's half wild. She's being noisy right now. That's why I went and grabbed her.
I absolutely love it. Now,
I think my wife is giving her food.
Oh, the big one. Big file.
Sorry, guys, but yeah.
Hey. Jason, have you ever decided to start giving yourself a title like the Lore Master or Keeper of the Knowledge? Kind of ridiculous. It's a little.
I'll tell you what. They could.
What class would he be in Dungeons and Dragons, Dan?
I don't know. He's the guy you go to for all the info, the real info. But the problem is, while he's
I don't think
talking,
Jason has time to play games.
yeah. But he's living it.
No,
for
I'm
real.
not
You get to
talking.
see it. Like, But every time he talks, I have like 3 more questions. Like when you talked about JFK and LBJ they forced him to do it. It's like a parallel. It feels like Trump, because Trump was almost, I felt like he was forced to have Pence.
Hence,
was.
yeah.
He was, and he wasn't voted in either. They gave Trump the presidency if he took Pence. If he didn't take Pence, they were going to give it to him.
Mm.
So he had to take him. He's kind of screwed. It's like behind 8 ball. It's like, well, but I mean, let's face it. Glad he did, because that prick had it coming too. Because being that he was a governor of Indiana, I'm in Indiana. There's a massive trafficking tunnel underneath I-65 from the southern tip of Lake Michigan at the Cargill plant, salt mines, all the way to Indianapolis. And that's how they move the kids underground through the salt mines. That's how they've been doing it.
Well, Real News had an eyewitness report of what Mike Pence did, and it's brutal, people. I mean, you have to have a strong stomach if you want to read about that.
I wouldn't even want to read about it much.
There's a guy on YouTube as well that, what's his name?
Yeah, I don't want to say here,
Live a little, say it.
Not-
Come on.
not appropriate for YouTube broadcasting, that's for sure.
Tell you what, the thing is, that's what I find funny about being appropriate with YouTube broadcasting and all this with all these sites.
Yeah.
It's like, once these people find out what these people have actually been doing, they're going to be like, why didn't you tell us? Like,
Yeah.
we tried.
Mhm.
Blame them. It's just like that, the whole Twitter, when those 3 idiots from Twitter in front of Jim Jordan, them, it's like, especially at Yo Roth, that piece of shit. Of course, he's one of them.
Yeah,
And
small hat.
wanting to put like minor boys on Grindr and all that. It's like, so you guys are sitting here taking everybody off Twitter that don't agree or that side with Trump, but then you have all this child porn on there.
Mhm.
But that's okay. You don't want to go after that. It's like, what the fuck's wrong with this? But that's the Israeli way. That's what they do. I mean, people would say, well, you can say, well, you can say it till cows come home, because unless you have as many documents as we have on this stuff, it's like, it just makes me sick that it always goes back to that this is what they do. That's all that they do. They just keep on molesting kids, raping kids.
Well, Dan, you asked a question earlier. I'm not sure we got the answer from Jason about you have this a bit of doubt about the events of World War II, right? And what's the best thing? Have you ever seen, Dan, the documentary? It's 6 hours long. I believe it's called the Greatest Story Never Told.
Sounds familiar.
It's so it's a 6 hour documentary. I'll find it. I have a friend, I'm sure you can find it. It's 6 hours, right? So you gotta like sit down and watch it in increments or whatever. But it's got everything in there that you need to hear to take away that last little bit of doubt that was put in there by the indoctrination and the movies we grew up with as kids and what they taught us in school.
Yeah. What I wouldn't call it what they taught us. What they just said, hey, you guys just this is what you need to remember. Take this test, and that's it. Everything other than that, just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Because these guys are a piece of shit. That's all.
Yeah, the Greatest Story Never Told, I believe, is the name of it. It's hard to find, but I think a friend of mine has it. Oh, on if you search on Madonna English Telegram channel, you'll probably find it there.
Well,
Yeah.
there was about 3 weeks ago, I was telling you, Scott, there was a clip going around Telegram of a rabbi talking about how like the Bolsheviks, and he's like, yeah, those were Jews. And like, he's literally,
Mhm.
he's got nothing to hide. He's telling the truth. He's like, this is what those Jews did. but people want to hide it instead of
Mhm.
just facing reality. And and that's it's like a formula they have to use. They go into a country and then they introduce pornography, they introduce the banking system, and it wears away at the society until it becomes weak, and then
Drugs.
yeah, and drugs, and it wears away until you can mold the society however you want. But it hasn't seemed to work. They keep failing. So
Well, thank you.
Also, the guy on YouTube, Tory Smith, Tory Smith, he's the one who's calling out Mike Pence, and he died as a result of, yeah. So if anybody wants to know, it's pretty messed up.
I don't know if you can see this. Can you?
no, I can see it now.
No.
Yeah,
Yep, pretty soon, never
Greatest
told.
Story Never Told.
So find that, watch that, and it'll blow your mind. I mean, there were things that were happening, like the speeches that Adolf gave are all translated there, and what he actually said, and then what the excerpts they took out and they feed to the rest of the world of what he was saying, like Churchill and who was it, De Gaulle, were putting like were surrounding Germany with their army bases. And he's saying, I was saying, listen, just leave us alone. We don't want to hurt any. Now, some of our people, German people, were living in Poland and a couple of these places, and they were being treated really badly. And this was like ancestral German home. So they just wanted that back, kind of like what Putin's doing right now in what's that? The Donbass area. They're Russians there. Those are Russians, you know.
All of it is.
Anyhow, you compare all the, like what really was said by Adolf and what was really going on at the time, and you'll see that we were the aggressors. Churchill was the aggressor, you know.
And the funny thing is, when you look at that, because World War II, it started just like right now. It started with the Lend-Lease Act, and what they were doing was FDR was giving all this weaponry to England and to communist Russia. Even Stalin.
Oh,
got
and
he won the
Bush.
war.
What's his name? Penobscot Bush, right?
Yep. Oh yeah, but when you look at the Lend-Lease Act back then in the 40s and what in the 30s, late 30s, because you had the Neutrality Acts. You had 1935, 36, and 37. There were 3 acts because after the first war, we were done. That's it. There were more people lost in World War I than any other war, and that was due to the Rockefellers. Because what they did, they poisoned everybody on both sides.
You're talking about the Spanish flu.
Yep, 1918, and all
Yeah.
people died because they were wearing masks.
Which, by the way, it's funny how the Spanish flu pandemic coincided with the installation of electricity all around the world.
Isn't it funny too when they say 410-20 that the 410-20 isn't Donald John Trump? It's actually Dr. Jeffrey Taubenberger. He's a doctor for the U.S. Army at Fort Detrick. He's the one that brought back the Spanish flu virus. And they're like, why in the fuck did you do that? And he's like, well, we need to bring it back so we know how to fight it. It's like, you kidding me? Now, another document we have here. We're talking about bioweapons, right? And you can find all this on Scribd. It's Chemical and Biological Warfare Program. It's this packet right here. I'll say it like this. And it's like maybe 15, 18 pages, something like that. It starts out at 1718, the year 1718, and it ends in 2003. Now, this should scare anybody with some of this. With some of these diseases, like Walter Reed, right? The Walter Reed Hospital.
Mhm.
Anybody know who Walter Reed was?
No.
He told us the other night.
1900. Walter Reed injects 22 Spanish immigrant workers in Cuba with the agent for yellow fever, paying them $100 if they survive and $200 if they contract the disease.
What?
This is what these sick fucks did. They injected like I mean, you guys. Shit. 1906, Dr. Richard Strong, a professor of tropical medicine at Harvard, experiments with cholera on prisoners in the Philippines, killing 13. 1931, Germany issues regulation on new therapy and experimentation, while 75 children die in Lubbock, Germany, from pediatricians' experiment with tuberculosis vaccine. In America, Dr. Cornelius Rhodes, under the auspices of the Rockefeller Institute, surprise, for medical investigations, infects human subjects with cancer cells. He later goes on to establish U.S. Army biological warfare facilities in Maryland, Utah, and Panama, and is named to the U.S. Atomic Energy Commission. While there, he begins a series of radiation exposure experiments on American soldiers and civilian hospital patients. Now, the thing is, most of you people didn't even know that they were doing this. I mean, all this stuff. I mean, you talk about like that Dr. Ishii from Unit 731 with the Japanese, when they were poisoning all the Chinese soldiers, civilians, and all them, even Russians. They even did it to us. They even did American POWs. They were giving them bubonic plague, cholera, anthrax. Tens of thousands died. Now, the thing is that got brought up at the Nuremberg trials too. The funny thing is that, of course, we made a deal with them that the U.S. was not going to prosecute him unless he, turned over all his findings and everything like that. I mean, they literally had a bunch of Americans killed and murdered, and instead of like prosecuting them, they just said, we'll just sweep this under the rug. It's like, you got to be kidding me, man. This is just no. And it even says 1942 to 45, according to congressional hearings held in Washington, D.C. in September 1986, former American POWs were among Ishii's experimental subjects. The hearings produced a litany of horror stories told by former American POWs. I mean, this shit ain't good at all. 1942 to 44, U.S. Chemical Warfare Service conducts mustard gas experiments on thousands of servicemen. 1943, explain to me which one's different, which one's worse, right? These two. Epidemic jaundice experiments at Natzweiler concentration camp, or refrigeration experiment conducted on 16 mentally disabled patients who were placed in refrigerated cabinets at 30 degrees Fahrenheit for 120 hours at the University of Cincinnati Hospital to study the effect of frigid temperatures on mental disorders. So who really was
that to answer your question, that one freezing those, that's pretty freaking bad, man.
Yeah. I mean, this shit just. I mean, they just. It just. I mean, you've got. Here. This is probably by you. 46 to 53, Atomic Energy Commission and Quaker Oats sponsored study of Fernald, Massachusetts, Fernald, I don't know where it is, but residents fed breakfast cereal containing radioactive tracers. They were feeding the kids radioactive elements. See what it would do to them. Our own government, the U.S. Army, to be specific. Because when people talk about the Army being good,
has anybody seen the video where they take the breakfast cereal and crush it up and then use a diomedium? What's it? Diomedium, a strong magnet, and there's all these shavings in the cereal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's in all
Is that
foods.
for real?
It's in all foods, it's in formula, it's in everything.
And it wasn't just a little bit. I mean, it was a lot.
Especially with these masks.
I was like,
how if you
Go
put
ahead.
warm water in them and they had all these black nanoparticles coming out, it's like, what the hell is this stuff?
okay, so that now I'm skeptical, okay, because I have a scientific mind, and so when I see a video like that, I don't know, somebody could be making that for sensationalism to get clicks, right? But my friend, who's a Dr. Heath Motley, has a brother who's another Dr. Motley, and he did it. So he took the mask, he steamed it, and because he's a doctor, he has a you know microscopic camera, and he showed it. This little thing freaking moving in there, little black.
Yeah.
It's more gallons, is it not? It's more gallons.
Yeah.
And so here's somebody I know who did an observation on a mask and he found what was going around. That's how I know that I can trust him, right? So this is what I mean with the cereal. Has anybody else out there ever done that? I would like to see. I want to get one of those big magnets, man. Just because
No,
I
but
think
I
they're
burned
cool.
snow
What,
before.
what are they called?
My snow burns.
Jesus. That's another thing.
Really?
When I
So see, okay, Veronica, you have to do a video on that, and I need to see that because that's another one I'm skeptical
I
about.
probably
To be
did a
honest
couple
with you.
years ago. If we get snow again, I will do it. Yeah, it burns. It like turns
Yeah, I
black.
have to
It
see
turns
that. I
black.
have to
Yeah,
see somebody I know do that in order for me to accept it. I'm not just gonna, accept some video of some guy doing it. I don't know.
I may have it. If I have it, I'll send it.
Oh yeah, everything up in the air and everything. It's no, not good at all. But then, like here in 1947, Judgment Nuremberg Doctors Trials, including 10-point Nuremberg Code, which begins the voluntary consent of the human subject is absolutely essential. Back in 47. It's also a 21, which is 777. Go figure, right? Now, then it just starts going year after year, the shit that these people are doing. A lot of it out of the University of Pennsylvania, believe it or not. Pennsylvania, Keystone State, right? A lot of stuff has happened in Pennsylvania. A lot. You've got the Numek mines, where those jack off Jewish pricks. What's his name? Raphael Eaton. He was Benjamin Netanyahu's BFF, and they went to these Numek mines, these uranium mines, and they stole a bunch of uranium and they took it back to Israel with them. Well, these, wherever you get uranium from, they have specific markings, like in their molecular structure. So they knew exactly where it came from. And he was the one that actually he started the TAPI program in Israel, which that program, oh my God, that's why we're in this shit in the first place. It's a 9-year program, and the first 3 years is military. The second 3 years is all computers and how to hack. And the last 3 years is you're putting them both together. So, I mean, you're creating these just hacking geniuses. Because when they talk about black hats and white hats, a black hat is a hacker that goes into these computers and they start ripping stuff off and, tampering with everything. White hats go in there, they check out, they look all around, they just leave. Check and see if it's okay. Because how we found that was DEF CON. They talk about DEF CON and it has dots under it. Separate DEF CON, DEF and CON. It's a conference they have in Vegas. And in fact, the DEF CON 25, they actually had the voting machine village, where they actually had voting machines in there, and they had these people hacking the voting machines to hack into them. And that was the same year. It was 2017. And then 2018, that's when the Democrats ended up winning the House and all that. And they're like, oh, so they gave them a medal for it. So they just proved that they actually hacked the whole election. And the people that were going there, the CIA, FBI, U.S. Postal Service. I think that was General Keith Alexander. And he was the head of the Naval Intelligence, Office of Naval Intelligence, before Admiral Rogers got in there. So they were all going in there and BFF and all these hackers, because they have these different like hacking groups, like they have the Cult of the Dead Cow. And one of the people that were in that Cult of the Dead Cow, the hacking group, Beto O'Rourke, Mr. fucking Texas himself. You know, it's like, and even has it when you look up Cult of the Dead count on Wikipedia, it's like psychotic warlord or something like his name, his hacking name. If it says Beto O'Rourke next to it, click on it, it's like right there. It's like, so most of these people that are in our Congress and House, you know, Congress and Senate, everything, they're all hackers.
So,
Really?
so Jason,
That's all they do.
have you come across any info about like supercomputers? Are we just watching a duel of supercomputers? Like the white hats have one and the black hats, and they're just basically just gaming the system, and whoever does it better, like one extra move ahead.
I think what we're watching is two AIs go at it, a negative and a positive AI. That's my personal opinion in it, because now you have these machine learning, like AIs and everything. It's like, well, what are you learning? They're trying to learn everything, that they're trying to be more human than us, but they'll fail every time. Because they actually do everything by the book. We actually, you know, we're like, that's how just fucked up by that. Just might work.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
they
it
even tried it with the Marines.
Well, it explains a lot, because a lot of times we're wondering why certain things are done, and if you're dealing with a supercomputer, that's they're making you do something, or an event is happening that they know will affect something like 100 moves down the road, a year later, 2 years later. That would make sense, because you know.
They have 7 of them, 7 supercomputers. Those
the
are the 7 dwarfs.
Of the 7 dwarfs. Now, good guys or bad guys?
Bad. They took them out. They were
So-
underneath the International Airport.
Is there anything left? Are there any computers left, like AI left?
Oh yeah, I mean, tons of AI left. I mean, this is all these groups that create all this AI. You know, you got Microsoft. You have, like, that's all they do. They just sit here and they want to create all this AI because they want to create this this transhumanism. Because that's why after 9/11 that was the nuclear war right there. They took out the mother, the father, the child, and they put one tower up for transhumanism and androgyny. That's it. I mean, when they talk about nuclear war, they think, oh, launching nuclear. You can't launch nuclear weapons. It doesn't happen. Nuclear fusion, nuclear fission were totally different. You can have atomic weapons on what? Then when you look at the nuclear war, it's the war on the nuclear family. And you can see it with these drag queen shows, with all this, you know, changing your gender and everything like that. That's all out of the Talmud. That's all from the Jews. It's all them. But yet, say something about it. It's like, oh, you're gone. You're gone. It's like, oh, because who runs the show? It's all them.
Back in the late 80s, Jason, a very good friend of mine had a serious problem in that his wife, he found out, he was a very religious guy, and his wife came out as homosexual after they'd been married and had 2 kids together. And so he was an intellectual, an academic, and he and I used to study certain things. And I did a really deep research into homosexuality, because our question was, does God make gay people? And because he wanted this answer for his wife. Is she just a sinner, or does God make gay people? And let me just say in a nutshell, at that time, my research led me to believe that yes, some people are born gay. And it's like 10%. And this was clinical research that was done in the 80s, so I don't know if it's changed. But back then, they said it was 10%. Now, what you're just describing, this agenda, it makes it seem as if 30%, 40%, or like everybody has the potential of being gay or transgender now, where before it was 10%. So if Netflix and movies and media and television and news really represented the true number of LBG, you add the letter, it would only be like 10%.
I mean, as I see it, I think it's all mental illness. That's all it is. It's just, I mean, you have such a hard line of indoctrination in these schools. People don't even understand. It's these teachers it's not the older teachers, it's the younger teachers that are coming fresh out of college from those indoctrination camps, because nobody monitors those, because who's funneling all the money to those? The same ones that want this whole agenda. now you bring this whole agenda in, they think, oh yeah, we could do this. It's like, I couldn't imagine being in school and having any teachers say, like, the shit that goes on now. You got kids, litter boxes, you got people come to school, little boys dressed up in dresses and shit. It's like, what the holy fuck? What is this? Like, I'm glad I don't have any kids. I'd be on fucking death row or something.
Same here. Same here.
I mean, it's sad, but it's like, what the hell is going on here? And now you're starting to see people blow up at these school board meetings. It's like the one guy that got arrested in Virginia, but yet they didn't. The news didn't want to say what he got arrested. Why he got arrested? Because, well, his daughter got raped by a quote unquote transgendered fucking female, whatever. It's like, no, there's no such thing. There's no such thing as chicks with dicks, only dudes with tits. That's it. All it is. You know, I mean, this whole thing, it's just, this is how Israel wanted it. That's how the Talmud, everything, the Talmud is probably one of the filthiest books you'll ever read. Filthiest.
Right.
They said that you could actually marry a girl at the age of 3 years old in one day and have sexual relations with them after that. And a mother could have sexual relationships with her son as long as he's younger than 9. I'm like,
Do you have a copy of the Talmud, Jason?
in the other room.
But you have one. You've read it. I mean, I've only, ever seen it read or heard about it read. I've never actually had a copy of it myself.
I've got shit right here. Nick. Let's see.
Because this is one of those things that people are not going to believe
You know what?
unless
said-
they see it for themselves.
Yep. Yeah, when they say read the Bible in the drops, which Bible?
Oh, they're talking about the Talmud.
I think so.
I have an ex-girlfriend who's Jewish, and I told her about this, and she'd never heard about it. And she asked her father about it. He said he'd heard about it, but he, yeah, but we don't follow that. But here was a a Jewish woman. She'd never heard of it. The Talmud talking about.
Well, the thing is that's the thing. The women, when it comes to the Jewish women, they pretty much keep them. I mean,
In the dark.
not even in the dark. I mean, they treat them like absolute dog shit. Absolute dog shit, and that's a big problem with me because it's like, well, if you want to preach, so much Jewish shit here. It's not funny. If you want to preach equality and all this, well, then, so you gotta, practice what you preach and just fucked up. But yeah, I mean, it's the stuff that it is so just, it's beyond it's beyond disgusting, and it's when you start like the protocols of the learned elders of Zion. When you read that, and they're like, "Oh no, that's all fake. That's all fake." It's like the hell it is. I mean, just all you gotta do is read it, and it correlates with everything going on right now.
Right. So a lot of people say that was made up. That was what was it? The Chronicle. What's it called? Articles of Zion. So do you know the provenance for that? Can you tell us where did that come from? Who wrote it, and how we can prove that that's a real document? Because the defense for that is, oh no, it's not real. It was made up by a writer or something.
Yeah, of course, right? No, you know what? I give these Jews zero credibility on anything they say. We have 830,000 pages of documents around here. You're not going to stump us. Because I'll tell you what, if it was up to me, I'd fire up the fucking ovens for good and fucking do away with all these fucks. All these child molesters and everything like that that are doing this shit. Nope. Because that's all they do. And they've been hiding it, and it gets to a point where
Jason, for those, I doubt any of the people, the viewers, are like that, but like Veronica has to deal with people that almost get blackpilled, they get black-hatted because they start losing hope. But the reality is, if we weren't winning, like, Jason wouldn't be here. Like he wouldn't be on the show, and he wouldn't be able to do the research he does. And
I wouldn't be breathing. They would
Yeah.
have fucking found me.
I wouldn't do that.
and things are moving way too fast. We shouldn't have had a pandemic. We should have had a war first. And that's what brings in the pandemic, because you can make an excuse that, oh, war is very dirty and so things aren't working. And you guys are talking about, like, right now, the next move is if you meet you think is a woman at a bar, you go back to her place and you find out it's a dude. If you don't go all the way, you're transphobic because you're
I know.
afraid. Well, this is what it's called. You're afraid of their feminine penis, and you're transphobic. So
You know what? No, not afraid of a woman's penis. A woman ain't supposed to have a fucking penis. It's like Judaism. Right? Listen, Judaism discovered a little bit, right? Just a little bit. That's all it is, right? That's all it was. It wasn't even it's not even a real religion. It's all discovered. Oh man, this is let's see. Here's some protocols. Let's see.
Yeah, Jason, one of my favorite topics is the Vatican, and one of the times you were on, we talked about the Vatican changing the laws, especially the Sunday law from Sabbath to Sunday, and somebody said that we were wrong, and I was hoping you don't have to do it right now because I know you're looking for something else, but I'd like you to teach us about that
It's simple.
sometime.
Somebody says it's wrong, say, okay, what's the documentation for it? If you don't have documentation for it, if you're just saying it, then fuck off. That's it. Because if you
But
can't
what
prove
she said, what that person said was that they changed it to Sunday. Because Christ died on a Sunday. I think that's what her excuse was.
oh, here we go with that. Oh, the whole Christ story again. You know what? I'm so tired of this shit because you know what? Explain to me why their Sabbath starts Friday night and goes to Saturday night. You want to know why? Because those assholes are the only ones that go along with the lunar calendar, along with the Babylonians. They're the only two that do it. And they're like, oh, Christ died for your sins. The fuck he did. Nobody died for anybody. The whole Babylonian moon god. The Babylonian moon god's name is Sin. It's a blood sacrifice. That's all it was.
Okay,
But then, yeah, blood
goodbye. I'm
sacrifice.
saying goodbye to all my Christian viewers now. Bye bye. Sorry.
No. Well, the thing,
Sorry.
it's
That's
not, the whole Christianity and everything like that, it was created by the Romans. But Christ, yeah, real, but we all have Christ within us. And we're Christed. I mean, we all have it. We just have to get activated. The second coming is our ascension. That's what it is. It's not somebody coming out of the sky on a fucking chariot and a white horse. No. Because the thing is that the Messiah and all that, he's already here. Number 45. I mean,
Praise
fuck.
it, brother. Praise
Hey,
it. I love it.
all these Christians
I'm
on it.
trying to tell people all the time.
It's your Bible. Read it. Read Second Chronicles. Read the end of the Old Testament. It's right there. You tell me. I haven't read the whole Bible, but funny thing is, I read that and I'm like, well, shit. Look, all the correlations right here. And what does Trump do? He comes out and says, yeah, I built the embassy for $400,000. Fucking cheap. It says it right at the end of the Bible that you'll know the Messiah when he builds the temple, the third temple, for this absurdly less amount of money. What was President Trump's father's middle name? Christ. What was his grandma's maiden name? Christ. Anything there? Bueller? Maybe. I mean, I guess some further proofs of the authenticity of the protocols of Zion. I mean, when you read it, like these people say, "Oh no, it's not." Read it. These people that sit here and they want to automatically say, "Oh, that's not it. That's not it," because everybody's so afraid of being called anti-Semitic. It's like what? Anti-language? That's all it is. Semitic. It's a language. It's not an entity or anything. It's a language. Just like Israel. Israel's not a land. It's a project. We are Project Israel. Humanity is. That's all it is. And they think Israel. Why do you think New Jerusalem, the capitalize the USA in Jerusalem?
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one when I saw that.
I mean, it's like right here. It's like people are like, oh no, that's not. It's like, oh okay, then please tell me what it is. Well, I heard from such and such, and his brother's little cousin, second time removed. It's like, don't even start that shit. Just if you didn't research it, if you don't know it, then for fuck's sake, you have every opportunity to go and find it and read it and everything. We tell you where to find it. We tell you what documents is. You could read all the documents you want. We just sifted through them and try to make it as easy as possible for people. Nobody said this whole thing was going to be easy on people. People are like, oh, it's just gonna be the pedophilia. It's like, whoa, shit. Wait till these people find out about the Anunnaki that the Russians had to fight last year, around October, November in Syria. Yeah, 15 to 45 foot tall people that they just vaporize you. Yeah, that's fake, right? No. There's a reason why Putin's where he is. Because he knows everything. Him and Trump, yeah, they know everything going on, and they're trying to keep it as low key as possible so people aren't jumping off buildings. But personally, I think some people should, in the first place, start with pedophiles. And oh shit, here we go. Talmud, pedophilia, the Talmud's dirty secret. I mean, it's New America, sex with children by Talmud rules. And yeah, we do know because we did all the highlighting and everything. So yeah, it's bad enough to have to read this shit. But yeah, and the truth about the Talmud, Judaism's holy books. And here's some excerpts of it, right? So it says, number one, the Talmud nullifies the Bible. Rather than that, I mean, I don't care what anybody. I don't care if people worship a coloring book. I really don't care. As long as you have, as long as you're not screwing little kids, and at least you're not screwing anybody over. Deal by the golden rule. That's all you need. And then these people that are saying,
And
"Oh,
and don't try to push your religion on other people too. If you have a religion, that's fine, great. Keep it to yourself. I mean, 95% of Thailand is Buddhist, but yet Mormons come here, the Catholics come here, and they try and turn the people's religion to what they want it to be. Why would you do that? You have a religion, fine, keep it to yourself. Why do you have to force it on other people? I don't understand that.
just people just, I mean, they think that they're so indoctrinated that they think that, oh well, that my God's better than yours. It's like we're all created by the same creator. That's
Right.
all. Even the extraterrestrials, they're all created by the same creator. One creator, that's it. Probably just.
But they want to save people, Jason. They want to save you. They want to help you. They just mean they only mean good for you, and they won't stop until they get what they want.
The best part is that they didn't know before that. So just don't. I don't need saving. It's like, how about this? You might want to fucking save yourself, because if you keep on pushing that religion shit, I have imaginary friends too, and my imaginary friends are just as powerful as your imaginary friends. Fuck, we'll go back and snuffle up against Big Bird and all these fuckers from Sesame Street and round them up. It's fucking this is how stupid it is.
Yeah.
I mean, they sit here and they lie about history, but then it's like, oh, but believe everything you see at church, and it's like, you guys do understand that's 501c3. So there's a reason why they don't have to pay taxes, is because they're keeping the fucking perpetual lie going. That's all. Like these people that say gematria. So Gemara, Gemara, it's rabbinical commentaries. So together, they actually compromise the Talmud. So when they say gematria, it's like, yeah, you're. There's a reason why I speak so highly about gematria. I call it Jumatria because it's the fucking dumbest thing I've ever heard. They're, oh, well, this is 145. That means JFK Jr. and fucking Princess Diana is alive and well in fucking Puerto Rico. It's like, where do you guys get this shit? I mean, and then you look at some of this, I'm like, so that's the only sentence that means, right? So it's like Lord God Satan, you know, cast his flaming dick at your fucking sister's head. Could be 145 too, who knows? But I mean, nobody knows. It's like, who the fuck? It's time to count. They think, oh, A + 1, A equals 1, B equals 2. It's like, they're just telling you that, you know, when they're doing these codings, it's like, okay, well, the letter J is a 9, is a 10, K is 11. It's like, yes, it's literally all right there in front of you. But yet they want to say, oh, well, this means this means that. It's like, don't listen to those people. That's
I appreciate you saying that, Jason. I've thought that. I've never really come out and said it before. But you know, there is something to numerology, though, I believe.
Well, numerology is
Um,
different. It's way different than gematria. Gematria ain't shit. Numerology is golden because numbers, math, and math. People talk about like linguistics and language. Language is shit. I mean, you know, we were supposed to be telepathic. We weren't even supposed to speak. That's why they call it a panic language. And half man, half goat. It just
you probably know a lot about the word. The word phonics comes from the Phoenician, and how they are the ones who came up with the idea of putting magic into words and spelling and all that. Uh,
Phoenicia.
that's an interesting topic.
Oh yeah.
The Phoenician. Oh, and by the way, phony. It also is where the root word for phony comes from, Phoenician, right?
The Phoenicians, the Canaanites, and all that. The Phoenician P equals C. Phoenicians equal Canaanites. They're all in the past. They're all right there. You know, just like the Jews. I mean, they all. That's why the Jews got kicked out of all these countries. Out of all these. They always have to sacrifice something.
Mhm.
They always have to sacrifice kids, sacrifice animals. It's like even with the red heifer shit they have going on. This Texas rancher is like, oh, I have these 3 red heifers. Like they take it to Israel. It's like you have these rabbis going over the whole thing with a magnifying glass to make sure that there's no white
blemish.
black hair. And yeah, it's like no blemish on it, so they could kill it. That red heifer is a sentient being. That actually
They also do it the cruelest way.
the bloodletting of oh god, this
That was why a lot of people don't know this. Adolf Hitler was the first leader in the world to create protection for animals laws,
he sure
and he
was.
did it because of the, what do they call it? When the way they,
Kosher.
there's a word for it. How
The bloodline, the kosher. That's what kosher.
kosher,
Yeah,
right?
slit
The way they do it, it's like the cruelest, most inhumane way to possibly kill an animal. And that's why Adolf Hitler started those laws. It was against the kosher killing of animals.
I mean, and Hitler was a vegan. I mean, and people have all this shit to say about him. It's like Hitler
Well,
can't.
nobody's perfect. Hitler was a vegan. Nobody's perfect.
And what are you gonna do? Do you tell me to do CrossFit now? Fucking why not? Just Jesus tried CrossFit once. Oh god, that joke's gonna fucking haunt me for a while.
Sad thing is yeah, sad thing is that you could have all the evidence, you can have all the stuff printed out, but I don't think the world's going to change until the money changes, because that seems what people care about. You can tell them that
They don't
someone
care.
kills 1 million kids and it doesn't matter. Like,
Well, look
until
at
their wallet
Fauci.
hurts,
Fauci with all the beagles, you know, that came out
no one cares.
and nobody cares about it. Everything gets
Well,
swept
because-
under the carpet.
Because what they do, they keep everybody so busy with we got to pay this, we got to pay that,
Fractions.
you know, and making sure that both parents have to work. And it's like what that does is that pries away from the kids. It's like, well, what do you have to do? You have to stop on the way home, stop at McDonald's. Hey, what do you guys want? Can I have little Billy from down the street my Happy Meal? Sure can.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll take a hamburger. It's like they openly admitted this shit. And people are like, nah. It's like they laugh about it.
Yeah.
Why do you think they run all these salt mines? What does salt do also? It helps cure meat. That's why a lot of shit that's going on up in Finger Lakes, very, very bad. because up in the Finger Lakes on Seneca Lake, it's like one of the middle ones. They have a winery there that it's the only winery in the world that the Catholic diocese get their sacramental wine for the Vatican and for all the Catholic churches. That's where they get it from. And it's like, wait a second. It's like, what's their growing season for grapes there? It's like, so if the Vatican's in Italy and people are like, oh my God, it's Italian wine. Oh my God, it's gotta be best. Like, why couldn't they just like open a vineyard there?
How much of that you think is still going on though? Hasn't most of it, if not all, been stopped? Like all the human meat in all the fast food and everything? Hasn't that been stopped or not completely?
We want to hope so. I mean, at least they're doing something about it now.
And like all the food all the processing plants that have burned down and everything.
And
For what it's worth, I get asked that question a lot in private readings and such, and I have got that 90% of it has been put an end to. And the whole a chrome stuff, there might be somewhere deep down underground still producing, but
Great.
90% of it I think has been put an end to. That's what my information through my esoteric readings of tarot cards has told me.
because 2/24/22, boom, right there. Zelensky orders destruction of all state docks associated with Metabiota. That's the bioweapon lab that fucking Hunter Biden was a part of. Wonder what they were doing there. AC, what you mentioned? Yep. That's what Putin's been taking out too. That's why Zelensky's such a fan favorite, because he's bringing all the AC to the States and the Britain and all that. But that's where the whole fentanyl comes into play too. I think we talked about that 2 weeks ago, but fentanyl, like people are like, oh my God, all this fentanyl coming. The reason why fentanyl's coming across the border. It's not for us. I mean, yeah, they put it in little drugs like, oh, overdose, this, that. It's because with fentanyl, their molecular structure with adrenochrome, if you add disilver oxide to fentanyl, you actually get a more potent adrenochrome.
Yeah. It's
a synthetic adrenochrome.
That's what I was going to say. There's also a synthetic adrenochrome. And so now that they're not able to produce it anymore, they're resorting to the synthetic.
And the best part is that they spike the synthetic adrenochrome. That's why Trump keeps on talking about malaria. That's why these chemtrails they're not chemtrails. It's hydroxychloroquine. If you add hydroxychloroquine to the synthetic adrenochrome, you end up dead within 2 to 6 days from quote unquote COVID, because you literally like bled yourself out, because it's like malaria is like one of the worst ways to go. But if you're dabbling in that synthetic adrenochrome, I don't think any of us give a fuck. That's why.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I think, one less person, perfect. Because if you're doing that, you're not a person anyways. You're not a human being. You done sold your soul, and you're just like, you don't deserve to play nice with everyone else.
No.
So I mean, honestly, if you had told me 6 years ago what we're talking about now, I would have called that Bedazzler infomercial. Got one of those, bedazzled my own straitjacket, and checked myself in myself. There's no way I would have. There's no. I don't have to talk about that shit. It's like now it's like.
Well,
That's not
before I knew about the substance they created through torturing young ones, I was convinced that there were reptilians and they were just eating people. I mean, that was the way I thought of it. They ate people. So yeah, they do, but even this way is like
they scare them
Yeah.
first. They scare them
So-
first.
yeah.
Man,
So that was like that when I realized, oh no, they're not just like putting getting adults, cutting them up and putting them on the barbecue. No, they're doing this with the youngest, and they're torturing them in the most heinous ways. That's when it got serious for me. Like before, it was kind of like a science fiction movie. You know what I mean? And then it went into like a horror movie. So
Stay there. And the thing, and we don't even see any of it. That's the thing. I mean, we talk about it, but people are like, oh, you guys, they talk about, it's like, Hero ain't nothing but a sandwich, number one. Number two, you got to give it to these guys that are going into these tunnels and getting these kids and the shit that they have to see.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they're going down there with higher dimensional beings that are actually creating holograms so that they don't have to see some of the worst shit that's going on. Because some of these tunnels that they're going in, they're not the dumps. They're way below the dumps. They're in the
Right.
Chimera system. It's like 26,000 years old. And it's like, they
right.
can only be down there for a specific amount of time because the breathing and everything like that, they have to have, you know, self-contained breathing apparatuses on and everything. It's like, this is fucked up. But yet people are like, oh, that's, you need to stop.
Are there any good underground places where it's like good guys live?
Inner Earth. But the Chimeras and all them, and because what was it back in the 90s? Because they had some shit happen here where the Archons came back, and that's another entity. And these the Illuminati, they actually split in two. They had the Illuminati breakaway complex where half the Illuminati stayed above ground and half of them went underground. And they had like a massive mind wipe that happened. And I think that's what happened to us too, because it's like sometimes you
Yeah.
remember things in the past, but then that whole Mandela effect kicks in. It's like what the hell is this? Like the Bernstein Bears and even Mandela being dead or alive, or
Yeah.
I mean, he was flat out evil, anyways. I mean,
People don't realize
all,
that.
they're all evil. Anybody that's on that level of power, they sold their soul to get it, and that's why they have the whole. That's why when you see Jimmy Carter, you notice that they show pictures of him going to the hospice that he had bruising all around his left eye. It's like, I have to get another drill, huh? Cute. Because he got
Jason, just a couple of minutes ago, you mentioned the word archons.
Yes.
Didn't you?
Yeah.
And in the very beginning, we were talking about the hierarchy, and you said draconians, right? I think draconians are actually, they take their orders from the archons, and I think the archons are the more disembodied, multi-dimensional
Oh yeah,
beings.
yeah.
So they're actually above the archons, and actually we could call them, that could be Satan.
Yeah. And that's the whole Pindar, and it's a lizard and everything. And, I don't know what just something tells me that oh man, I think it's David Rockefeller, like the old one. And I think that they kept him still kicking. Because what people don't understand is like the whole Silicon Valley, what they're doing there, they're hooking little kids up to these machines. They're draining their blood, and then they're putting the child's blood into these old people, these sick fucks, and then it's like they're fountain of youth.
Didn't he have like 4 heart transplants too? Or was that him or was that somebody else?
Oh yeah, I mean, you got these people like Kissinger and all. It's like, how is Kissinger still alive? For one, there's no
I know
way.
that's, but Jason, they also have the ability to take all of their memories and put them into children that are born, right?
Yep. And that's the thing. I mean, all these people, because when they get infected with the vril in their left eye, because what it does is they tie you to a bed and then they put this vril. It's like it's like, what is it like? It's like shit. It's like a 1.5 foot tall being. It's like a small being, but he has a proboscis, like a chocolate chip on his head, and it actually goes into your eyeball and it wraps on your optic nerve and it goes straight to your pineal gland because it tastes like butterscotch. and then it kills your consciousness. So it takes 30 days for you to be in there. That's why that picture with Tom Hanks, Gayle King, and Oprah is so big that he's like, I can't talk. He was infected with the Vril. Oprah and Gayle are the ones that actually monitor. They're like the nurses that monitor them. So after the 30 days, that entity, the Vril, could actually get in the body and actually officially kill that consciousness and actually overtake the body. Now they're just like clones and drones. They bite and they rape. That's it. And when they do rape, they actually, that's their purpose, is that they jump. It's like the movie Invasion of Body Snatchers with Donald Sutherland way back in the day. Same thing. They go body to body. It's like this could get any more fucking crazier than, I mean, I'm gonna smoke some fucking dope. It's like, this is fucking insane. I mean, this is just it. I'm like, because every day you find something, it's like, no, it's like, you gotta be kidding me. I mean, this is just, and it's just compound. And now,
Well, Jason, that's why what you do is so important, my friend, because you bring us knowledge, and knowledge is power. And knowing this stuff, you're empowering everybody who's listening to you to fight back just by understanding this. So thank you from all of us to you for all that you do. Thank you.
hey, I mean, I'm appreciative of you guys too, because you guys are bringing it too. I mean, we're all doing our part. Nobody's doing more than the other or anything like that. We're all doing equally, and we all have to do it together, because if we don't do it that way, we're all screwed. Because then you're starting the whole ego thing. You got this, you're putting this person on pedestal. It's like,
Right.
pedestals away. I mean, these
Nope,
people.
I'm just recognizing, you have your talent is compiling information and putting it. I don't do that.
Oh, neither did
I'm a terrible administrator. I don't keep track of records, but I put worms in people's heads, and then I expect them. You have a choice. I gave you some information. You have a choice. You can ignore it and say, "Oh, Scott's crazy," or you can go try to prove that I'm wrong. That's what I want people to do. Prove to me that I'm wrong, and then they come back to me a while later if they did that, and they go, "Wow, Scott, I can't prove you're wrong."
Yeah.
So.
And it's like, we're not looking to be right or anything like that. I mean, no. I mean, I learn more when I'm wrong about something, or if I miss something and somebody else brings a part of it. It's like, great. It's like, it just adds to it. It's like, we all have parts to this. All we could do is we could just be the catalyst to actually get the conversation out there, so that other people have this, that. It's like, bring it. Let's, I mean, I'll be the first one to tell you, like,
Most people don't want to talk about it though, Jason. Most people are just, did you see what happened at the at the halftime? Did you see the
This stuff
halftime?
is so
performance or
disgusting that
whatever?
we want to be wrong. We want to be wrong. This stuff is disgusting.
Right.
I wish we were.
Yeah. You know what? I would love it if somebody could prove to me that the Earth was a spinning globe, and I could go back to watching sci-fi movies and really enjoying it. I wish I could go back then, but 7 years now, since 2015, I've been asking people, show me your evidence, prove the Earth is a 25,000-mile spinning globe. Just prove it to me, because I want to go back to believing that. I can't though.
And that's the thing. I mean, who planned that in our heads in the first place? I mean, all they do is they put that symbol into the classroom and said, "This is what you live on." Like, well, why?
It's only been like 100 years since they started teaching the globe Earth shit. There are people alive
Not
today,
even.
and I know
My mom was born in 55, and they were teaching her in elementary school flat, right?
Yeah.
Flat, and then they switched to globe. So
in
it's only
Connecticut,
60
in
years. Connecticut, yeah.
that's because Connecticut still was being controlled by the truth. Like, that's I don't know how to put it, but you understand what I mean. Like,
It wasn't
they were
a
more
doc-
connected with it.
with
Okay,
source.
anyway.
But
But yeah,
so-
what Veronica just said.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago they were teaching the Earth was flat in schools.
That's
Yeah.
why she somewhat believes me.
Well,
And
they,
then you-
yeah. I think it's only like I don't know where I heard this because that's how I work. I just suck in stuff and then I connect the dots. I heard that it only takes about 40 years to change society because you need to get through a generation so they forget and then the
Right.
new guys believe the new lie. It doesn't take much. It only
Right.
takes getting through a couple generations.
that's why they have these world wars.
Yeah.
Because they can eliminate the generations right then. And then you don't have all these elders that are teaching younger people. It's like, don't believe that shit. Don't read that. Because they're all gone. You know, then you have these kids, then you have these quote unquote teachers, you know, pretty much brainwashing these kids because, well, that's what I learned. It's like, well, then you learn to lie too. That's all. Don't want big lie. You know, when you
You know,
go
you
to-
can't blame people when you're 7 years old and you're nascent. You have no knowledge of anything. You trust your elders. They tell you things. You can't blame children for believing what they were told by their elders. You know,
blame the elders. I mean, it's just, but it goes to teaching and because they don't want, because it's much easier for them to tell us that, oh, it's a spinning ball. So you're not going to have the imagination, creativity, or anything like that to actually go and like explore, like what else is here. It's like, no, it's a ball. That's it. It's like, so because when you go to the store and you look at the globe, why does it say not for educational purposes on it?
Yeah.
And then, like we were talking about the whole flat Earth and everything, why is it that the Gleason map is actually patented and not the globe? So they have a flat Earth map that's actually patented. And it says as is at the top, but then yet the globe is just like, yeah, it's cute. It's like, well, what is that? Because if you're going to tell me that Africa is that big and North America is that big, Africa's massive.
Yeah.
And what if these continents, what if they're not in the place that they are? You know, they say that back in the it was
on this map, Africa doesn't even fit. Africa
Yeah.
goes off the map on this one.
it's massive, and then you have South America. Which is, they talk about like Antarctica, like the older maps, like it was all plush, tropical and everything. It's like now it's like, well, why did you do that? It's like we were quarantined inward. So yeah, we had the sun, the solar simulator, but if heat rises, it's the black sun below us that gives us the heat. Because when you go out at night, why is it warmer in the shade than it is out in the moonlight? But then when you go outside during the day, it's complete opposite. It's like it's
Yeah,
complete stupid.
that's a good one. So, are you saying you understand why the moonlight has a chilling effect? Because that's a question I have. Well, why is moonlight cooler than moon shade?
I think because it's a plasma. Because they're not. It's not a light that's cast off of the sun. Yeah, they say,
Right.
oh, reason it's like so when the sun's out and the moon's out at the same time, why is it the whole moon illuminated?
Mhm.
It's like, but then when you look at the sky, it's like, oh, the moon's illuminated. It's like, then why is the sky black?
Yeah.
It's like when they talk about, it's like, wouldn't it be like a maize color, like a brownish color, brownish yellow color, like, but
Right.
everything's
Should be a
so high.
shadowy color. So it's really funny that you're talking about this because I was talking with two Thai people yesterday or 2 days ago, and they spoke really good English, and I was brought up the sun. Well, I mean, sorry, when there's a half moon in the sky and the sun over here, and then one of the guys, by the way, is a trained scientist. He's a biologist. The other guy is a layperson, and I said to them, we're talking about the shadow on the moon. And I said, okay, what color is the side of the moon that's not visible during the day? The scientist said black. And the non-scientist guy said, no, it's blue. And I said, yes, that's absolutely right. And logically thinking, if it's a shadow that's being cast on the moon, it should be black, right? But no, it's blue. Why is it blue? It's because the moon is transparent. You're actually seeing through the moon, the sky on behind it. And that's why you can see stars sometimes in the black part of the moon at night. You can see stars through the moon. That's amazing, dude.
That's awesome. I mean, and that's, I mean, when you hear these scientists like William Tompkins and all these older scientists that, you know, they knew the truth, but they couldn't really come out and say it because, you know, towards the end of their lives they came out and said whatever. But you know, why haven't we been back to the moon? I mean, if we did it back in the '60s, and you know, you made a phone call from there on a landline, so that makes a lot of sense.
Well,
And then you
what's
do
his face? Sorry, what was it? Buzz Aldrin. Buzz Aldrin is he's starting to crack. He's starting to like when he's
That's a long
questioned.
time ago.
He's telling them we never went. That was a I hope if we go, but
That's
we
right.
never. He's starting to like either reach the age where he doesn't care, or I have no idea why he'd be doing it, but he's starting to let him
I
know.
love him. I wear 2 wristwatches.
Yeah.
It's like what you can't look at one and not the other. It's like what the hell's going on? And the space shuttles, all the space shuttles those weren't missions to space. Those space shuttle missions were actually spy planes to spy on Russia. Exactly what they were. All spying. That's it.
Mhm.
Then you know you got people saying, "Oh, China's floating a balloon over here." It's like, here we go again. It's fucking. They're just throwing it right in our face. But yeah, people are like, "Oh, yeah, it's a spinning ball." It's like, yeah,
I want my sky event, Jason. I want my real sky event, not balloons.
oh, it's coming. It'll be at night too.
You think so? It'll be at night.
We can ask.
Where though?
It's when up.
Yeah.
You won't even have to worry about where you're at. Or too many motherships here above us now that they're ready to go. It's just people here aren't ready.
You're gonna find out quick who knows what's going on and who's not when you're outside. People, they won't be the people screaming. It'll be us dancing in the street and
Giggling. And the one saying, "Hey, make sure you got coffee." What coffee? Coffee, chocolate, and fermented foods. It's the only terraplane that actually can have all 3 of those, and they love it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Well, I saw a triangle in the sky. This was about 8 months ago, I guess. And it wasn't a little TR3B either. My guesstimation, it was a mile on each side, and it was I took a video of it. It's not a very good video, and my phone died. But I'm absolutely sure that that was a mile wide triangle sitting in the sky. But I don't think that's a mothership. The motherships are miles and miles, right? Like 50 miles.
They've got some that are over 2,000 miles long.
jeez.
And they have like whole they're like they have nature parks inside these things where like everything you have on Earth they have in there. I'm talking about nature, trees, lakes, rivers, mountains.
Sounds like
No trains. Oh, sorry guys. They're probably like, what are these humans doing now? It's like, stop listening to those people that can't afford a big hat. Just fucking don't. Because they hate everybody. They're playing for the wrong team. That's it. That's all they're doing. And unfortunately, I mean, it's going to come to a head where, you know, people are going to have to pick a side, and you're not going to be one on that one because they're no good. All shitty. Because when they find out about the truth about the Jews and how they killed 66 million Orthodox Christians after World War I and during World War II, they're doing it so that they can have their little blood sacrifices. Yeah. People are pretty pissed about that. and then some. I mean, forgot about the kids, and I mean, that's the sad part because there's a lot of people out there that, you know, kids came up missing and all that stuff, like in these parks, these like national parks,
Mhm.
and come to find out that, you know, for some reason they kind of end up in Ukraine,
Really?
and yeah, this whole Burisma, these energy companies, um, what kind of energy do they deal with? Children are energy; they're 100% energy. So like when they say like even Bitcoin, when they're like, oh, Bitcoin miners, like remember double meanings, guys. MINER or MINOR? Which one are you harvesting? That's all. Because unless you show me what a Bitcoin is, you can't even show me who the guy is that fucking started it. Because it's not even a person. It's 6 corporations that just 3 change their names and that piece it all together, have a first name and then a last name. It's all based out of Japan. Like these Bitcoin mining, what are you mining in these computers? What exactly are you mining? What? It's not like you have a light on your hat. You're going into some mine. You're bring out something tangible. What is it? It's nothing. Because when they talk about cryptocurrency, well, crypt is that where they put dead people?
Right.
So the currency. I mean, it's no good. And they sure do funnel a whole hell of a lot of money through Ukraine and all these other countries for all that stuff. But yet, say one thing and they're like, "Oh, Holocaust." This thing. It's like, start this shit again. Because I mean, if we have to go through this shit again with them with the Holocaust, I mean, they're not gonna like you because the truth that we have, they're done. And personally,
You know, I have a hard time remembering my password for like apps that I have. I would hate to have a, a, $1 million in Bitcoin and then forget my password for my e-wallet, you know?
and that's just the thing. It's like, you know, people are dumping this fiat currency into something that they think is gonna be like magical and tangible. It's like the only thing you can actually do that to is like a physical metal or like gold, silver, copper, platinum, anything like that. That's the way you go. It's like, but do all this shit. It's like, well, for what? I mean, I just don't like. What are you actually doing for all this? Just no good. And plus, the Finger Lakes said the Greenidge Energy, they actually surpassed China as a Bitcoin miner in the world on 41020. It's another 41020. They actually had an article about it. Just really, really, really fucked up at this point. Because it's like, you know, Finger Lakes, like, why does Hunter have the Finger Lakes tattooed on his back? Why are all these people, they obsessed by Finger Lakes, in the whole area there? Look at all the cities around. And like all Geneva, Rome, they're all named after cities from Europe and all that.
Where's this, Jason? I don't know where the Finger Lakes are, which
It's
state?
New York,
Michigan?
New York. New York is by Syracuse, New York, and everything. Yeah, because remember they talk about like the Great Awakening. What the original Great Awakening were? There are 3 of them. That's when the Jews, because the Jews came here first in the 1600s, and they got their freedom of religion before we were even a country. So what they bring over? The Babylonian Talmud and everything like that. But what they did is that they were creating all these other offshoot religions. Mormonism, Baptism, you know, all of it created during these 3 Great Awakenings in Finger Lakes in New York. That's where they came up with
That's
all
right.
these different.
That's right.
So if they were all created from there, it's like, okay, well, when the Mormons when they headed out to Utah, well, everything was already built. So what they built? Nothing. Then it's like, oh, it's founded in such date. It's like, well, did you build it or did you find it? That's the thing. If you founded it, then you just found it. Congratulations. You know, but
Is there any photograph documentation of building these places like Capitol Hill and
Nope.
All right.
'Cause that was built on
They,
a
they,
swamp.
they don't have like, you know, pictures of it being half built and using the cranes and all that. There's nothing like that, huh?
I would be happy with a Michelle Obama or Hillary Clinton pregnancy photo at this point.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
then again,
Yeah.
I have to check with my imaginary friends to see if I can actually ask that.
Yeah, the only photos you can see of like when America was being founded is the big huge buildings are already there, but everything around it, like the wooden structures, they're being constructed. You never see those being built. And amazingly, like if you get into Tartaria or the Moors and stuff, like in the World Fairs, they had these massive. They look like you're in Rome, and then they tear it all down.
They
just
tore it down.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
Especially the one in Chicago.
I don't mean to be rude, but I have to use the restroom, so you guys keep
Right.
on going.
Don't you have just a litter box right there you can just pull out, or that's what these kids are doing here now. in
He's not a
schools.
furry.
How do you stay there for 3 hours without leaving the camera? I don't know. You must have a very large bladder.
No, I make sure that I don't drink enough that I have to go to the bathroom. If I do, I'm like, hey, I gotta go to the bathroom. It just happens because you really don't want to. You don't want to go to the bathroom. You just don't want to do that.
Hey, Veronica saw there was a fake White House in Indiana. You ever been there?
It's on the market now or something.
Do you know whereabouts? Or
I don't know. Look for it.
I'm wondering if they've used that one.
I hope it's Santa Claus, Indiana.
Yeah.
It doesn't look exactly the same though.
I know they have the one in the Tyler Perry one they used in the
Atlanta.
The Dirty South.
Atlanta.
That's where you see people playing golf behind Biden.
And then they show like when they show the picture of, like the Oval Office and everything, it's like, why are there like cars parked outside?
Yeah.
Like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's in Evansville, Indiana.
Oh yeah, it's way south. It's like the
And
southern tip.
it's the White House replica. It's on the market for 8.5 million right now. But it doesn't look exactly.
I don't think it matters. these
And it's
days.
on the top. Can you see? It's not the same. I guess the inside looks the same, but not the outside.
All the spy cameras, all
I don't know. It just says the White House replica, but it's not really because it's not the same.
Well, when they level the one in DC, then they could say, well, we have the real White House here.
It was built in 97.
What a waste of money. You built it during Clinton's reign, and you're like, yeah, I want to make a house just like him and the big slow Hillary's in.
33,000 square feet.
You might be able to fit your research in there.
Or Big Mike could probably fit her weight Jim in there.
Yeah.
I know she's fitting Jim in everywhere else. Oh God, that's just
Hey now.
bad. Yeah. But yeah, it's just
This is like your most PG show that you do. I've seen
Well,
your shows.
yeah, I mean,
because I've gotten so many people tuning in for you, Jason. I might be able to now start doing our lives on Rumble. And then I can give you free reign. So I only have like 100 subscribers, so I guess I'm gonna leave it to my moderators to put my Rumble link in there, and maybe let's give these YouTube a couple of weeks, and then maybe we'll start moving over to Rumble. That'd be great.
yeah, because I mean, it's not so much free. I mean, we're talking about the same thing we talk over there, and it's just now that Susan Wojcicki, she left
Right,
because
right.
she's I'm gonna spend time with the family. It's like with the family. It's like no, you can spend time in front of Congress. What you're gonna do?
Mhm.
You're not just gonna quit and say, "Oh, well, I don't have to go in front of Congress. I don't have that job anymore." It's like, we don't give a fuck what job you have anymore. You kicked us off YouTube. You know, just like Facebook and Twitter and all this. It's like they have no idea that what they did is treason and seditious.
Mhm.
I mean, you literally strip the First Amendment rights away from the President of the United States. If you could do that, you could do anything to us under the sun or the solar simulator, or however you want to say it.
Mhm.
Just, it's moronic that these
Well,
people are
when
just,
they came out with proof that the FBI was telling Twitter who to ban and who to block and all that, I mean, shouldn't have been something happened right then and there to, I mean, that goes against the Constitution, and there need to be consequences for that. So why? I just don't understand why people aren't more outraged about this.
if they only knew where the other FBI headquarters was, like we talked about earlier.
Mhm.
Which FBI is telling them to shut up? It's just like you go on, you go on any other platform, you can make fun of any other ethnicity, whatever you want, but oh boy, you know, they're out there putting all those little sneakers out there on the lawn, saying, "Oh, we'll remember the Holocaust, and we're gonna have, we have a reading out of Anne Frank's diary that she supposedly wrote with a ballpoint pen, and
With a
you know,
ballpoint pen
that wasn't even
before
invented
they
yet."
were invented.
Did you guys like
Oh,
not that this shit was gonna like get like studied and looked at and be like, something doesn't pass the sniff test in this. And because these people didn't exist.
Mhm.
One big story.
I don't remember who said this, but the great quote is, look to who you cannot criticize to find out who controls you.
Yep.
Yeah, I've heard
No
that.
And
true
like Thailand, Thailand has a monarch, right? And there's a law in Thailand. It's called Les Majes, and it says you cannot say anything negative about the monarch. Well, that makes sense. He's the king of the land. So we know he controls the land. So he's the one you can't talk to. It makes sense, right? Who else? What other group can we not talk about? Right? They wear small hats.
That's where I got the
Well,
quote.
this is interesting then. So the new group that may be even worse that you're not supposed to be talk bad about is the trans. And what do we know
Right.
about most of the people in control, or most of the people we're seeing aren't just
They're not all
yeah, you know what I mean? So
They're-
they so I mean that's the whole point, is that they were trying to make it that acceptable, so you know, the people that we know aren't what they are, they could start coming out openly other than hiding everything.
Oh.
plus with all this, all they're doing is they're confusing the hell out of these people, having them do all these sex changes so they can't procreate.
Yeah. Yep.
But nip it in the bud right away. If you get them when they're young, it's like they're still young, naive, stupid, whatever you want to call it. I don't even know why you're even telling these kids that they can even pick their genders or anything like that in school. It's like, what the hell are you trying to prove there? And then they have these
You know, this happened so quickly too. The way they got it into the schools. I only left America 20 years ago. And what I'm hearing now, these descriptions, I mean, I can't even, I don't know. It happened so quickly, you know.
sad thing is that it even happened, and we allowed it to happen because they pulled the bull over all of our eyes. They want to make sure we were kept busy and you gotta do this, you gotta keep working because you gotta pay this, you gotta pay that, and keep it up with the Joneses. You got these people that make, you know, 50 grand a year, but then they're buying $600,000 houses. Banks are letting them do all this. It's like, hey, just whatever. The housing market falls out, then here comes BlackRock and Vanguard, but buying it all up. Wait till the market's better, and then turn around flipping them.
Mhm.
Just, ugh.
I feel sorry for parents who have no choice. They can't homeschool like Dan and Veronica do. And they have no choice but to put their children in these schools. Is it possible? Like, okay, let's say you can't homeschool.
Yeah.
Because Veronica, you have to do all kinds of things to be compliant to be able to homeschool. Is that
No,
right?
Connecticut is very easy. They don't ask anything. It's really
Really?
easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So,
the
I mean,
one
can
and
you
only
just,
good thing about the state.
are you permitted to just keep your kids home? Like they just don't have to go to school? Or is there some kind of law that says if you have school age children, they must be in school?
No, you don't.
Nice.
In
I mean,
Connecticut, you
I'm
don't
just,
have to.
Not in Connecticut.
for
Now they
people out
made
there who have kids, wouldn't you be better off getting no education for your kids? I mean, even
Exactly.
if you don't
Right.
know how to teach, even if you don't, just keep them home, put them in the backyard, in the sandbox and climbing trees and playing in the woods like I did
Yeah,
growing
but
up,
that's the problem. So Jason does the research. Most people, even us, when we first started out, didn't realize how much is just insinuated. Like the school sends you home a paper and you end up filling it out, not realizing
You don't
you
have
don't have
to.
to. They just make you assume you should, and that's it. So much of everything is just an assumption. Like everything, like people, it's basically I see it as everything is a scam. Like everything around us is like a scam, and it's like so overwhelming now. Like you can point at anything, and like you don't know the actual history of it. It's just everything's assumed and just a scam. I mean, like the deprogramming an average person's going to have to go through is like mind-boggling. You know.
And we literally teach the kids like math and English. They can read, they can write, and they can do math. My daughter is researching flat Earth and Tesla 369 and crystals and all kinds of stuff that that we do. And she's
you
11.
take them out hiking and things like that too,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
That's another thing.
They've never
Teach
worn a
children how to make
mask. They've never.
how to build a shelter in the woods, how to find north, things like this.
Yep.
How to identify the animals that live in your area, which ones are good to eat and which
Yeah,
ones
you've
aren't,
seen
and
videos of
plants
my
and things
daughter
like
feeding
that.
the chipmunks and squirrels on the deck. They come and sit in her lap. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
I mean, and everybody's gonna teach their kids something different, but at least as parents, like what you could have learned. And let's face it, I mean, that's high school. They never taught us anything about checkbooks or credit cards or anything like that. Because
Exactly. Right.
in high school, oh boy, now what do they do when they hit you in college? It's like done. You're already screwed.
They never taught us about fiat money and fractional reserve banking, right?
Mhm.
They're teaching about genders right now
That's
Yeah,
what.
they
and
are.
how to change it. That's important, right?
Yeah, and in China, you see
Yeah.
videos of the elementary school kids. They know how to change a gun out, a handgun, and clean it and everything.
Yeah.
That's another thing, by the way. I grew up with guns, and I was taught gun protocol from a very young age. I wasn't allowed to point my toy gun at other people or animals. I got in big trouble one time for pointing my pop gun at the cat and pulling the trigger, and it got taken away from me, and I got in a lot of trouble for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, how to handle a gun, how to shoot a gun, and yeah, protocol. Like yeah, never point a gun at something that you don't want to destroy. Rule number one.
It's comfort, man.
And then make sure that you point the gun that looks and understand that once you do that, there's no turning back. It's like that's why it's like it's so sad that they did this to all the inner cities because what they do, they got rid of all the father figures of the neighborhoods and everything like that. Just had all single moms, all single parents. And said, the single moms, God bless them, because I mean they're pulling double, triple duty. And what do you do? It's like just hope your kids are doing good. And it's like the family, the whole family structure. It's like where else can you get a family structure in a gang? That's why they lean towards gangs.
Mhm.
You look at the one big culprit that actually broke up all those families were the U.S. government, pharmaceutical companies, all this shit, just because of drugs. Not that shit don't happen in white neighborhoods. Cape Cod and out in somebody's place out in California or wherever. I mean, California burns down. I don't care, but politicians at least. But there's a lot of good people in California. But why is it still a blue state? It's like that should tell you something right there. All the voting's rigged. They vote out all these propositions and everything like this. Like, well, so you're circumventing the Constitution. If the Constitution is the law of the land, then why are you having all these votes on, this proposition, that oh, we're gonna hand out free drugs and needles and all in San Francisco. It's like, yeah, not a good time, Bob. It's like, and then they let all these pedophiles out of jail, and then you go shoplifting. As long as you don't steal over $1,000 and stuff, you're good. It's like,
I was telling that to my wife. She's Thai, and she just couldn't believe it. Like in America, I'm like, yeah, Nina, my wife, in California, somebody can walk into a shop, grab them all they want and all they can carry, and walk out, and nobody can touch them. And she's like, no, that can't be true. That can't be right.
and then you wonder why
Florida, do try that in Florida, and you get shot.
Texas, everybody shoot you. There'd be brass everywhere on the ground. Grass and blood make the grass grow.
So, Jason, you're talking about the Constitution. What are we going to go back to? Aren't there multiple constitutions? Like when they did that switcheroo, when they kind of changed the nation into a corporation.
Yeah.
So what are we going back to?
I think we're gonna have a whole new way of governance in the world. The whole thing, everything's got to get just completely just stripped down and build it back up. But that's what we're going to be doing, is that all of us, because in the government they're going to have everybody's going to have to serve in the government. So it's not one of those that, oh, this person's getting a be lifer in there, and it's like, because if everybody serves in the government, then you'll know. It's like if this person's screwing up or that, you can talk to somebody and say, hey, what do you think of this? It's like, well, let's go out and talk with them instead of saying, hey, let's just go ahead and just assassinate him or something like this. Like, hey, kind of fucking up right now, so we're here to help. It's like, because you want to make sure that everything's running like a well-oiled machine, but then you get these people in there for 30, 40 years, they get deeper and deeper pockets, and they just start getting they have this power trip, and they just feel that they're there for life. And no, we should all learn how to
No one should ever be able to be a career politician. Like
Well,
what
you weren't supposed to. It was supposed to be
President
like
Lee is.
your duty, and it's not something you enjoyed because you're taking away from, like, it wasn't supposed to be a career. It was supposed to be like almost like serving in the military. Like, all right, I have my personal life, and I'm going to give a portion of it to my community by serving as a politician. And then somewhere on the line, it came, someone figured out you could use that to make money, and then that was it. That was it. It was over.
Well, the Greek philosopher Plato wrote about this in The Republic. I don't know if you guys have ever read this, but he came up with an idea. He called it the beneficent dictator. And what the idea was that you look around the country and you find someone that everybody agrees that this is the smartest, wisest, and fairest person among us. And then that person is chosen to be the leader, and they don't really have a choice, actually. Kind of like Trump. I mean, Trump had a choice, but it's very much like the way they went to Trump, and then you take, so this person doesn't run for president, doesn't want the power, but everybody's able to recognize this is the person who is best for the job. And then they take that person from whatever walk of life they could be, right? And you take that person and then you make them the beneficent dictator. So this means they have all power, but because they're such a good person, they would never do anything to harm anybody. And if they did, you simply remove them and you replace them with someone. The next beneficent, you decapitate that one, right? You, because he didn't follow through with his vow to be good to all people all the time, and then you put in the next one. Anyways, beneficent dictator. I always liked that idea.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like instead of giving one person the power, it's like have like a group of people, and don't have it all stationed in DC. You like they were talking about splitting up in quadrants. Like that wouldn't be a bad idea. Then you actually have people living in the areas that they're representing. So if they have to go, take votes or whatever, they just have to go to one central spot in that. I guess you say their quadrant or whatever, and then when you have like bigger things that you have to talk about, then you can either bring it to everybody and let everybody vote on it with the blockchain, which is probably the best idea there, but it's going to be the only way because I mean nobody can get this voting right. They started doing all the tampering and hooking up online. Well, with the blockchain, nobody can hack it. It's not like you have to be like, I gotta go vote. It's like you go to walk out of the house like I ain't going. I just don't feel like it. It's like, well, you have to leave the house, just vote and that's it, done.
So will this be on our Q phones? Will we get a Q phone and then that has um, blockchain ability? So we'll be able to vote like right from our phone. And
Exactly.
because it's blockchain, every vote can be traced and counted.
They actually have patents for it right now. It's already patented. Elon's the Pi phones will be able to do that too. So I definitely want to get one of those because I'm really tired of Apple. Even though everything.
Yeah.
It's
Because our tech isn't getting better. Our technology is getting worse. It's more. I don't remember having this many problems growing up when technology was being introduced. Like I've talked to Scott. Like back in the late '90s, I started getting into gaming, like online gaming. My old computer from the late '90s or early 2000, they run so much better than what I got now. Like nothing works. Like it's slow, laggy, choppy. It's like we're going backwards, not forwards. So, I mean,
just kept on dumbing us down.
because I saw some stories on Telegram about the like incubator babies at the world fairs, and that they were using those to repopulate the empty Tartarian cities. And I mean that's a whole nother topic, I know, but all those technologies were there.
Mm-hmm.
Those big crystal palaces, like you were mentioning, Dan, and I mean, the one in Chicago, they had a big statue of Julius Caesar.
Yeah,
they tore it all out. It's like, the Great Fire. It's like, so who built these?
Yeah,
I mean, they're massive. It's like, why would they just leave them up? I mean,
right.
But they had all the free energy and everything like that. Right. So it's like, well, can't have this.
They had robots, electric cars, all that shit back in the
train. I mean, everything. It's like,
yep.
Just to let you guys know, we're going to keep these to 3 hours. Okay, so another 10 minutes, and then we're going to be done. All right.
Awesome.
Just to let you know.
Sweet. But yeah, I mean, it's just there's just so much to even talk about in compound here because everything's going on now outside, and there's so much going on, and now it's gonna get fun now.
Yeah,
I think this.
Do you have a checklist?
Oh,
the whole checklist of what's. I have a theory that this is a massive buildup, and they have to release everything at the same time, so the people that are asleep or the normies get overwhelmed. Because if you get one or two things, that might make people jump off buildings. But if you get everything at once, it's too much. Like, I think it's going to be everything at once, so people don't have time to focus on one thing and like get so upset that they end it. When you have a lot to worry about, it's too much. It's like over stimulation.
Yeah, I mean,
The fact that Trump is a good guy is gonna send a lot of people over the edge. So that's like one tiny thing. Right?
because he hasn't shown one thing that he's a bad guy. I mean, he didn't bring any wars. I mean, he helped he helped all Americans. He helped all minorities and everything like that. But he's racist. He's this. He's like, why?
I just can't see everything coming out at once. I cannot see that happening. People will like blow the brains out. Yeah. I can't.
Well, my new friend, my new Thai friend T, he's a biologist, and I the very first time I met him, we started talking at 7 o'clock in the evening, and I didn't leave his place until 1 a.m. And I red pilled him on a whole bunch of stuff, and he was like, Scott, I'm not saying I don't believe you, but I'm not just going to believe everything you say. But if everything you say is true, this means everything. He's 30 years old. Everything that I've built my life on is a lie, and like I have to like start from the beginning. And he's like, it's not that I don't believe you, Scott. She said it's too much, and it's like he just like blanked out, you know. But now I'm talking to him more and more, and he's like questioning more and more, and I'm giving him questions. He's like, okay, I'm going to go do the research. And this guy's a scientist, so I think he really is going to do this. But my point is, when I gave him all this stuff, it was like, it's just too much for me. I just can't handle it. And at this point, he has a choice, right? He can go back to believing just whatever he believed before, or he can actually go down this choice. And by the way, I told him, if you choose to ignore me and just continue living your life based on things you've been taught, then you're actually helping the enemy. You are aiding and abetting the enemy. You have become one of the bad guys. Just so you know that, you know.
Is that wild? I mean, just by hearing some of the stuff, it's like, what caught us? It's like, because we could have been like that too. Thank God we're not. So, I mean, after all this time, I mean, it's been what, over almost 6 years. It's like, also Q-tards again. It's like,
Hey,
over
I'm a
5
cute card too. So
over 5 years, I mean, we're still talking about the same stuff. It's like, maybe you guys should just like take a time out of your little pouty party and just maybe read some of the documents we have, or because we don't come out and get all ballistic or anything. I'm gonna say, if you ask it, we'll help you. I mean, we're out there to help everyone. Still be an asshole. That's our
This
job.
friend I'm talking about, T, I gave him the Plan to Save the World video by Joe M. And I said, it's kind of long. It's 13 minutes. He's like, no, I want to watch the whole thing. So I started it and I walked outside to have a smoke. And I came back about 7 minutes later, and he turned it off and he goes, okay, all right, it's too much for me. I can't handle that right now. Because it starts off telling you what, we think thieves are these bad people who break into our homes. But what if the thieves are our leaders, our educators, our scientists? These are all corrupt people. What do you do then? What happens when, the people that you trust and depend on to keep you safe and, keep the world running? What if they are the criminals?
you overthrow the government, right?
Yep. And that's our duty. That's our duty and our right to overthrow a tyrannical government.
People are such cowards, though. They don't stand up for themselves.
Well, it's comfort. The
It's
world
not comfortable.
Comfort.
Yeah,
They're
but
lazy. They're lazy. That's what I was gonna say. And they want to be comfortable.
yeah, but it's the world that the world wasn't ending with a bang. It was ending with a whisper, because people were just becoming more and more comfortable. And like I never imagined the world was going to be heading towards this kind of end, like an apocalypse, or I thought it was gonna be like Mad Max Thunderdome. I'd never imagined it'd be like dudes with fake boobs and like it's a lot gayer than the end of the world is a lot gayer than I thought it would be. But
oh man, you ain't lying.
But I have
Why
a
do you think
feeling.
I spent years learning survival skills in the wilderness? I thought I was going to be, like I said, Mad Max at some point.
But I think what's gonna what if they release, like, I really hope they actually if it melts brains, it melts brains. I hope they really release the real villains in the world, because it's going to shift your view. Like you talked about, like how much damage can like a robber do, or someone who is bad, but it's limited. They don't do as much damage as the people at the top. It's like completely like it's on another level. Those are the real monsters versus maybe someone grew up bad, or who knows, those are
Gangster
it's
or
at another level.
an armed
It's gonna
robber.
shift. Yeah.
So hopefully
They
it's a
really need
message.
to start with releasing the photo of Obama pointing his AK-47 at the US soldier. That is going to piss off a lot of people and maybe wake up the people who love Obama still. Or maybe not, because, they'll
Seen
say
that
it's
photo.
fake or whatever. Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm getting hungry. I'm going to wrap this up. And Veronica, I want to say I thought you did a wonderful job today. You spoke up more,
Guys,
and I appreciate that. I've been trying to encourage Veronica to have more confidence. Don't worry if something you're going to say sounds dumb. We all do that. Um, and I thought you've added quite a bit to the show. So
Oh, thank you.
it's nice to see you stepping up, Veronica.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
it takes. I mean,
Thank
it's
you.
because you're always gonna have people out there saying this or that. It's like
Yeah, there's a lot of negative comments, but you know what? I know who I am, so I don't let it bother me.
If you weren't here, it'd be three guys and be a sausage party, and that wouldn't be any
Yeah.
fun. So thank you for being here, representing the women.
Thank you for
And
having me.
Jason, do you have anything you like to say in parting before we end this?
about it. I mean, thanks everybody for hanging out for the 3 hours, and I mean, we're getting there. Plugging along. So
All right. Well, Jason, as you know, you have an open invitation every Sunday night to be here. If you're not well, if you're not, you feel like you can't make it because you're back, please let me know as early as you can.
Okay.
Because of you, sir, I am now swamped with bookings, and so I have to be more careful with my time now. I have to say thank you very much. You increased my viewership. Oh, I forgot to mention thank you to Janine Morajo, because she tweeted a link for our live stream today.
Nice.
She tweeted it and put it on Telegram. So that's why we had like over 700 people in the chat. Oh, wait a minute, Veronica, we'll get to that. So yeah, thank you, Janine, for sharing that. That's helped a lot.
It's awesome. She's awesome. She's so.
And yeah, like I said, thank you to Jason, because my YouTube is more just like a part-time thing that I do, and it's really an infomercial for me to do this. And I feel like my purpose in this world is to help individuals. I'm not a big viewer guy. I'm not, I don't have a lot to offer to thousands and thousands of people on YouTube. But I love working with people one by one individually and lifting their vibration, lifting their spirits, giving them messages that they need one by one. That's really my mission. And Jason, you've enabled this by now. So many more people are coming to me looking for a reading. So I thank you for that.
I mean,
Veronica, talk about your Organites real quick.
those are awesome, by the way.
You speak about them.
All right.
Dan will
We sell Organites. These are the pyramids. Our biggest sellers are the little pocket organs,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I know people don't have money. The bigger pyramids are more. So the little ones are nice to have around. Just keep with you. And that's about it.
Yeah.
What are the price ranges for the?
Well, this might be like 80. This might be like 40 or 50. This is like 20 something. The bigger one is like 30 something. But if anyone can't afford it, just message me, please, because I want everyone to have one. And obviously we need money, but you know what? I want people to have them. So I will give as much as I can away. Because I eventually I want this to be my, I want to be able to just make them and give them away once all this financial stuff happens, because I just love doing it,
It's passion, I mean,
It is, yeah.
it's like it's completing the boomerang. It's like, you give and you get back. It's like, you're giving something good and you get that energy back in return. So it's
Yeah.
actually really cool. You're doing a damn good job on those. Awesome
Thank
job.
you.
Yeah, I can attest to their effectiveness.
And we got the
They really work.
buster too.
You gave me that one. You gave me that one talisman, pocket talisman for money. Remember the one that was supposed to attract money?
Yeah.
Boy, that one's working pretty good.
No, that's because it's our year. It's the year of the rabbit.
Year of the rabbit.
Me and
Yes,
you.
I
Me
know.
and you. Yeah.
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 Awesome.
All right, guys. Well, Jason, thanks a lot for being here. Hope to see you next week. If not, just let me know and we'll have you back whenever.
Sounds
All
good.
right? Because this is your show. And
That's your we're all here together. I like that.
well, okay. But thanks everybody, and I'll see you next week.
You bet.
Bye-bye.
All right, thanks, guys.
Bye.